names of those that have signed in, and we generally allow for 2 minutes. Remember 2 items though tonight. We do have to close down by 9 p.m., so we'll try and move this along. As always, I try and keep all of our reports, not resolutions, but reports down to 10 minutes. And the final thing is, I want to thank DCAS for allowing us and for setting up this wonderful facility. They were more than accommodating because, as you can see, Black History Month, tomorrow there's a major event here. And you'll hear from Ranger Jim for more details. But you'll see that we have some decorations and historical notes. So I want everyone to be aware, and you'll probably hear more about that later. But having said that, I'm going to move on and call up our first speaker, Hannah Weineman from Congressman Nadler's office. Hannah.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. For those of you who don't know, the Victims' Compensation Fund was recently released that, unfortunately, they were slashing awards. So yesterday, Congressman Nadler, as part of a bipartisan effort, reintroduced legislation to ensure and make sure it's fully funded, that the Victims' Compensation Fund is fully funded for as long as folks need it. I think it's until 2090. So we're moving on that. If you have any questions about the VCF and if you want some casework around it, come to our office, call our office, our caseworkers are ready to help you. We also reintroduced the African Burial Ground Museum. We want to establish a museum for the African burial ground, so that has been reintroduced in Congress as well. Today there was an oversight hearing on the family separation policy, so we're doing a lot of oversight in the Judiciary Committee. I'm sure there's going to be more of that to come, but the family separation policy is really a travesty, and making sure to get the bottom of it and being possible. We're also doing a lot of gun legislation. So last week we passed out of committee 2 bills that essentially close the loopholes around background checks to make sure that background checks you have to go through a background check to get a gun. And the last thing that I want to share, there's a lot going on, so if you have any questions, you can call our office, but we also got some appropriate funds for the Gateway Tunnel project, so I know that that's a project that's been going on for like 20 years or something like that, but hopefully we're a little bit closer to getting it done. If you have any questions about what's going on in Congress, feel free to come find me at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. And next up, back this month, Ranger Jim.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ranger Jim. I'm the supervisor of the African Burial Ground, Federal Hall, located 26 Wall Street, where George Washington became the first president of the United States, and also Casa Clinton. Casa Clinton is located in Battery Park, and also is the first immigration station before Ellis Island. I'd like to talk about also Black History Month. We have flyers going to be located in the back. We have special events going on at the African Burial Ground for the month of February, and also Women's Month coming up. A lot of panels we got going on there, and screening, films. We got a lot of free activities. Ranger's going to give you tours. Please come out and visit from 10 to 4 at the African Burial Ground. Also, Federal Hall, from 9 to 5. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ranger Jim. And now if we can have Assemblymember Ewing's office, Claudia. And then right after that, Fiona.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Claudia. So this is actually my first time at CB1. So hi, everyone. Hopefully we'll all get to learn some little time. And in terms of our office, we just wanted to thank everyone who showed up at our first town hall a couple weeks ago. It was a great turnout. And in terms of Lunar New Year, we also had our parade. So thank you everyone who joined us in this parade classic. And then in terms of legislation, the members signed on to the Dream Act and agenda and all of the more progressive agendas that we're going through. And just to tap on what we were just talking about, our Women's Security Month event, our office is hosting our event on March 24th on Sunday. The flyer is in the back, so feel free to grab one from your table. And if there's any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be there for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. Fiona.
order of protection that temporarily prohibits individuals from purchasing or possessing guns. If a family member, law enforcement officer, or school administrator petitions the court, and the court finds that the individual has engaged in conduct that would harm themselves or others, and Senator Kavanaugh has been an advocate for this bill for the longest time since he was in the assembly and finally got passed into law yesterday.
Bravo.
I covered our office for anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona. Heather Duchamp from the Downtown Alliance. Heather.
Hi, everyone. I'm Heather Ducharme. I'm the Director of Storefront Business Engagement at the Downtown Alliance, which is the business improvement district down here. And I just want everyone to know that the Alliance has the Downtown Digital Innovation Grant for storefront businesses in our district. It's basically $10,000 that we're going to award to 2 storefront businesses down here to help them pair with a consultant and an expert to help with whether it's a website upgrade or you business needs help with social media, or needs help with Google and search optimization. We're here to help pair them with an expert for that. So I have flyers that I'm just going to leave that have my contact information and more information about the grant, as well as the link to the application. So if you have any questions or have anybody that owns a business down here that's a store, let me know, and I'm happy to get in contact with anything they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Appreciate it. I think I'm going to ask both of you to come up. Francis and then Kelly. Talk about that project.
Good evening. My name is Francis Curtis. For those of you who don't know, I'm a member of the Board 1. And I also sit on the Quality of Work Life Committee. And as part of that committee, there's a subcommittee that's trying to facilitate some more activities that are more human service and development focused. And at our last meeting, we had a very interesting presentation by from a research project from Wild Cornell and Columbia and Harlem Hospital and New York Presbyterian. And it deals a lot, it's going to deal with precision medicine. And I think that it's going to be very exciting for this community and you as individuals to be able to have the opportunity to find out some things about yourself that would be very costly. But this is, it sounds like a really great research project that's being offered to the community. We have a representative here that's going to use the rest of my time in order to give the public who's here, who probably wouldn't hear this, my report, but I'm supposed to give later on. But we kind of rearranged the agenda so that the public will be able to hear what the project is about. And there's some flyers in the back. It's time consuming, it's an NIMH project, and I think it will benefit the community. We're also going to try to coordinate with the elected officials so that they can have participation in these as well.
Thanks, Phil.
Also a rep.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you all for your time today. Okay. I'll say it a few times more. So, my name is Kelly Williams. I am the director for the All of Us Research Program at Walker Medicine. As Francis mentioned, this is a collaboration between Walker Medicine, Columbia University Medical Center, New York Presbyterian, as well as Harlem Hospital. We are in partnership together to launch this All of Us Research Program across New York City in a national effort to improve and increase precision medicine. It's a national effort from the National Institutes of Health. There are sites just like our consortium across the country offering participation into this research program for the country and for the nation. I'm here tonight to introduce the All of Us Research Program to increase awareness about precision medicine and to encourage the participation in this historic program. This is the first of its kind here in America. Other countries are already starting to build such large health resources to accelerate their healthcare research, and America is starting to do the same. We really want to close the gap in medical research. For those not familiar with medical research, oftentimes it's the educated, male, middle-aged, European
offered the medical research program, and so the majority of us are not, and which means a lot of our health care is tailored towards not us, and so it's no wonder that a lot of our treatments are not really working. And so the hope is that all this research programs, we can have a diverse health resource that researchers can now use to study and change really the face of healthcare. We're looking to have more tailored healthcare in the future, more precise healthcare, and so we want precision medicine to really accelerate. Some examples of precision medicine: I wear contacts, you have glasses, ma'am. You can't wear my contacts, I can't wear your glasses. I'm B negative blood type. I'm sure I don't want a transfusion from an A positive individual. People that have diabetes, that are insulin dependent, their insulin dosage is specific to them on that day, depending on what they eat and what activity level they are doing. That's a type of precision medicine. There are many examples like that. And we want more examples. We want more tailored care to one another. But in order to do this, we need a national effort. The Audit Research Program hopes to enroll 1 million participants into this program across the country. Here in New York City, we're hoping for 93,000 across all of the boroughs. And so we hope that you'll join us in this effort to improve health care for all of us. If you'd like to learn more, we do have an event at Lower Manhattan Hospital. Outside, we have a research van. You can come and talk to me and my study team. It's out on Gold Street, down, like I said, outside the emergency department of the Lower Manhattan Hospital. And we also have a phone number and email address. You're more than welcome to reach out to us, ask us questions. It takes a little bit to get used to this precision medicine concept, as well as the security and privacy concerns that may come with giving your information over to such a large health resource. But happy to answer any questions after
And
this.
Kelly, that van will be there tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Yes,
so
sir.
because-
From 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and there's flyers in the back.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you so
Perfect. Okay, our next one will be Archie Lee's host from Plus Pools. Archie? And then I'll have Roland Lewis right after that.
Hello everybody, my name is Archie. I run an organization called Plus Pool. I'm one of the designers and co-founders. I'm also the executive director of our nonprofit. Plus Pool, pretty simply, is an Olympic-sized water filtering floating pool that will filter 1 million gallons of East River water every day, making it possible for New Yorkers to swim safely in the river. I just wanted to say thank you to the Waterfront Committee for including us in the resolution tonight. We were really blown away by the amount of local community members that came out to the committee meeting last week to show interest in Plus Pool. Our goal is simply to work with the community to gain access to the river. We're really excited about that and truly looking forward to that day. I'm here with my Deputy Director, Karen Meyer, and Communication and Development Associate, Jancy Butterworth. If you have any questions, find us. We're friendly people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Archie. Looking forward to it. Roland?
Same thing, right?
Good evening, I'm Roland Lewis, I'm president of the Waterfront Alliance. Pleased to follow Archie. Here to talk about the program to reach the Esplanade and Plus Pool. Our organization of over 1,000 different businesses and civic organizations look at, for, and advocate for all 520 miles of the New York City waterfront, but we've taken special hints to that little star that will lead to the beach where the Esplanade is. I think, for starters, that the support that you've given to Plus Pool should be applauded. It's a tremendous asset for this community. I think it's a tremendous asset for the entire city, actually. It's an innovative design that I've had the pleasure of understanding and learning about, and it's grown from an idea to really a juggernaut of a new way of using our waterfront. So please, I'm so glad it's in this resolution, and I encourage you to adopt it and move this ball forward for Plus Pool. And then further, the opening of the beach. We had the great privilege of, the first time in a long time, maybe ever, opening that beach on City Water Day last summer. And we will encourage the without too much work, so I think we can have immediate use of it with the investment that's described. We should have permanent asset that will be a long-standing asset for the young people, old people, and people in the middle, and beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rowan. I taken the wedge pledge.
What's that?
The wedge pledge.
You took the wedge pledge. Way to go.
All right. Yeah, we'll probably send more information around, but the Waterfront Wines has a wedge pledge, pardon my speech, to, why don't you say 10 seconds?
10 seconds.
We have other speakers, but it's probably important.
Wedge pledge rhymes. It's for a design guidelines like these for the waterfront to promote access, to promote resiliency, to promote ecological health at water's edge. You guys were among the first. Actually, you were the first community board to give a resolution, and now we've had about 24 others.
We're the wettest, that's why.
We're the wettest. We have about 24 others. We're on the way to getting all 51, we hope. When we're upland and downland, to take the wedge pledge and make sure that people who build in the waterfront do it as ecologically, resiliently, and with as much access as possible throughout the city of New York. So thanks very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Roland. We look forward to working with you. William Berto. Let's get him some minutes.
Hi, I'm Greg Mitchell, President of Downtown Boathouse. We provide free public kayaking in your neighborhood. Don't go kayaking right now. The water's really cold. We hope to see you in the summertime. Just a couple of these items. One is we figured out that we were 25 years old this April, so we're going to celebrate that. And we have everything half price this year, which means that it's free, always. If you don't want to wait for the bus to turn up, and you're a member of the community board, see me sometime this summer, and we will happily toss you in the harbor. Slightly illegal, but it can be arranged. So if you've lived in this community for a long time, and you actually haven't been swimming in this harbor, which you have spent $10 billion cleaning up, maybe you should get your money's worth sometime. So wait till August, see me on the side. It's not technically legal. We'll make it happen. Enjoy.
Thank you, Graham, as always. Paula, why don't you come on up? Paula Fong from Council Member Chin's office.
Good evening. Councilmember Chin sends her warm regards to you guys. It's very cold, so best time to stay indoors for the budget. Right now is the beginning of the budget season, and you will find her either at 250 Broadway office on the committee room on the 14th floor, or you will find her in the city chamber. She would like to invite you all, by all means, take your time to come to the hearings. And tomorrow is a major week for the seniors. It's about expanding the food access for the seniors who need them. And it's about supporting a living wage for all the people who work for senior centers. So tomorrow is a major one, and it will start at 10 a.m. And there are other hearings coming up. If you're interested, please do reach out to me, and I'll repost it so that you can save your day and mark the calendar. Another thing is, many of you reach out to council member asking her whether or not she will support that bipartisan legislation that Congressman Mather and Lily and House Representatives introduced. Of course, yes. And she is urging the city council to join her, and she would like to urge Congress to pass this bill because it's important to let those people who are impacted by 9/11 that they know help is on the way.
Is that the funding and
I'm sorry.
what is the bill?
The Victim Compensation Fund.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Permanent
reauthorization.
It's the one they introduced yesterday.
Yeah, she just,
Right.
she's the person. What's next?
Yeah.
This information, Kimberly from 9/11 Environmental Action also has the 9/11 information. So please feel, there's still a lot of people that they don't know about this. So we need to help this spread the word. And then the most controversial thing around town is the 250 Wall Street brownfield cleanup program. And many of the residents reach out to the council member
I will keep you posted.
Thank you, Paula. But,
Two
Appreciate it.
locations. One is the
Paula, you have to start to wrap up.
The
But,
Fulton Store Market is for Saturdays for family cooking classes. And the other one is about Build a Bar. Please do come out. And tomorrow is the second season. Thank you.
thank you, Paula, as always. All right, I now have 5 speakers on one topic. I'm going to ask them all to come up and maybe have one major spokesperson. Jim Hopkins, Sharon O'Connell, Ingrid Hartsonis, and Margaret Gay, and Francis Mr. to give my pronunciations. But maybe you can have one spokesperson and then the others.
We haven't split up, if that's all right.
Oh, you do? All right, but we're going to try and keep you moving along.
88 battery place.
88 battery place. All right.
And just for background, we are, over on this side, we are members of the Board of Managers of the Cove Club condominium. And we have one other person who too wants to speak.
Okay, who's going first? Margaret? Fran.
We are protesting the application for the liquor license of Zinning Shen Jr. The following reasons are legally. Zinning Shen Sr. and his wife are convicted felons. They are not applicable for a liquor license, and nor are they eligible. They defrauded the federal government of $2.5 million earmarked for school lunches for disadvantaged children. Mr. Shen was sentenced to 57 months in prison. Mr. Shen was placed under 1-year house arrest and 5 years probation so he could look after the children. He also was ordered by the court to pay back restitution. Mr. Shen Sr. was also arrested for offering a bribe to an undercover FDNY inspector to overlook violations in one of his preschools in Brooklyn. That violation concerned an illegal certificate of occupation. The space is owned by FMJ Corporate Development LLC, which is the Shen family business. Shen Sr. is the sole person active in all the construction and all the communications with the condo. He is the only person with whom condo management and employees deal. He has sought to intimidate our super and threatened to have him arrested for trespassing when he heard crazy drilling in the basement. And what happened was he did illegal construction and cut a huge hole in our foundation. At the CB1 committee meeting of 2/13, Shen's lawyer presented a petition that was supposedly signed by neighborhood residents in support of the restaurant, bar, and as they call it, lounge, which will probably be a club.
Fran, I'm going to have you start to wrap up.
The
So we
committee
don't need to.
rejected the petition as fraudulent due to a large number of names in its identical handwriting. Because of this past behavior, we do not trust the Shens to get a liquor license. It will be inflicting a lot of aggravation on our building, our management company, and our super. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Who's the next person?
Remember, 2 minutes each, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Margaret Gay. Some of our concerns, this is a very quiet neighborhood. Where this proposed restaurant will be going, there's very little foot traffic. No other restaurants there. It would seem impossible to sustain a restaurant there without it becoming some kind of a private club or party center. Great attention to disruptive behavior. There's also no roof venting, so cooking odors would be spreading out into the sidewalk, as well as upstairs into apartments. Some neighborhood concerns, garbage pickup, rodents, insects, noisy patrons, people smoking outside, also smoke getting into apartments. There's a school, PSIS 276. Children there would have to pass this bar or restaurant. Mornings would be problematic, children coming home from school and the after-school program.
those are just some things we'd like to point out in terms of neighborhood.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ingrid. I have been working in construction in this city for the last 16 years. I used to work for the School Construction Authority. And my biggest concern, not only as a board member, is I own one of the apartments in that building, and their construction practice has been very problematic. They had initially in the preschool, they started like a work, as I mentioned, one of my friends. They started doing some work and the work was illegal. I wrote a letter to the commissioner stopped, and then we find out that the actual architect of record lost his license for doing self-certification, so they were not right. Now currently under the new restaurant, they're trying to do the restaurant under the preschool that they own application. So technically, and if you see the filing, which I have all the backup here that I can leave with you guys, the filing says it's an amendment for a proposed eating and drinking establishment, accessory kitchen in the first eating dining space, and the existing workshops into the daycare center in conjunction. So that means that they're granted this liquor license. Pretty much they can actually serve liquor to the kids because it's in the same place, which I find that's kind of me working for the schools and having a kid of 4-year-old, I find that really compromising.
This was all, excuse me, this was all brought up as a committee?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So it was not like that here, but I did my homework and I have all the applications here.
Right.
The application does not have fire alarm, does not have mechanical, does not have fire suppression application, has no sprinkler, no plumbing. So all the mechanical work that they promised to us, so they're otherless, is not even filed. So my biggest concern is that as we agree that there should be no self-certification and there should be all this work and the special inspections. And also I was looking up to the tax code and it shows that we have a 0.7 of common elements. Some of those common elements is actually a flat. I have these flood map areas and we show that our building is in a flood area, and and I have all the existing drawings where it shows that all the construction of our building was done with waterproofing and like special plumbing, piping, so we can be preventing from a flood like Sandy, which we almost got like hit very hard. So I want to make sure that whatever they do it right, at least that they manage to get into this restaurant, which in my opinion is not the right place, doesn't have the...
You have to wrap it up.
Good, we're going to have to wrap it up. In fact, just take you 2 minutes. We have our borough president to come and join us too. So if you can add to it, wait, Jim.
Yeah, I'm Jim Hopkins. I'm the president of the board of the condominium, and we're volunteers, obviously. We are opposed to having FMJ Development open this restaurant and bar. They did illegally breach the foundation slab at the vapor barrier. It is a common element of the building. They had no right to do that. They did it without permission of the building, without a licensed architect, without approval. They sought to hide the fact. With all the commotion, our super tried to get into the space for quite some time. He was threatened that he would be arrested for trespassing. And he is within his rights to inspect anything that goes on in the building, but the shade kept him out. Ultimately, FMJ was forced to patch the slab penetration, but we're still very concerned about it because the vapor barrier has been breached, and vapor will come up, it will degrade the concrete, and it will rust the rebar. Last month, Shin applied for a liquor license without communicating with the condo, and they posted a notice on the exterior of the building for a week, basically trying to hide their plans. At the committee meeting on 2/13, Shin's lawyer presented a petition that was supposedly signed by neighborhood residents in support of the restaurant bar. The committee rejected the petition as fraudulent with a large number of names and identical handwriting. The bottom line is we do not trust these people to behave ethically, to behave responsibly, and to treat the building with the respect we know that it deserves. The slab, they'll have to drill it again if they want to put this thing in, and it is a common element. We control the slab, they do not. It's just an inappropriate use of the space and terrible things to deal with. Here, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And our last speaker?
Very briefly.
Good.
Sharon, what's your last name?
I'm Sharon O'Connell, right? I'm a resident of the building. I'm not a member of the board. I simply wanted to say all the details and facts were covered by our are surrounded by schools, which is a concern. But what we do see and what you've heard from the board members is a pattern of extraordinary fraudulence and illegitimacy. And that has, I hope, gained the attention of the community board because we really, as a resident, are turning to you for protection in this case. One of the functions of the community board, and I'm asking very directly for more than myself, is for you to protect us in this circumstance. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Appreciate it. I'm going to ask our borough president to come up and say hello, and then we'll continue with a couple more of our public speakers. Borough President, thank you for joining us. Dale Brewer.
Just a few things. First of all, I want to thank Devin Schuer, whoever he is, for introducing me as the state of the borough. Thank you very much. It was awesome. And I also want to thank you, Mr. Chairman. He came to the borough board representing you, and he was phenomenal. So, yay the young people.
Better than I could have done.
So, a couple of things. Brooklyn Bridge Esplanade, again, always the thanks to the community board. But as you know, on January 8th, EDC had a hearing on the topic, and we continue to push for the funding from Brooklyn Bridge Esplanade, along with Councilmember Chin, LMDC. And I just want to thank everybody because we're going to get that damn beach no matter what. I also want to say we are doing Black History Month on Wednesday, February 27th. 6:30 is way uptown at Columbia University's Manhattanville campus. If you're all welcome if you want to join us. We have people from Higher Heights and different political consultants talking about the future of what is going on in the African American community nationally. And then with Corey Johnson on March 9th, we are doing a community citizenship. It's going to be at the Community School of Professional Studies on 31st Street. Again, just events that we're always trying to invite the community to. As you know, the leadership training sessions continue. I want to thank everybody who has attended. They go all the way February till March, and they include open data, transportation, land use, and budget process. And I think you all know how to sign up. There's material in the back, and it's all over our website. I also want to mention that we have done 2 studies recently. One got some press and the other one less, but certainly on subway accessibility, it's on every single person's mind. There's a story in the paper we're going to have elevators, and there's a story in the paper we're not going to have elevators. And I feel bad because I think Andy Byford is terrific. It's hard to be a human being and head of the MTA, and he's actually both. And I hope that he gets his funding. I know that we're going to have a hearing in the near future. We'll let you know where and when on congestion pricing. When I was in the city council, I voted for it, and I never got so many angry emails in my life. Particularly people who live on 59th Street and 61st Street. Well, luckily you don't. But for those who do and have a car, it's challenging. So I just want to let you know that the money from the subway, I assume, if the mayor and the governor agreed, they didn't do too well on the last time they agreed, a few weeks ago, but we'll see what happens this time. We also did a report on broadband in the schools. Bandwidth is an issue. You have a school, you have technology. If you can't type it in, then you're not going to be able to do the studies and the curriculum. And the schools have very bad bandwidth, but we continue to push. We also work with the City Council on a bill that will pass nutrition education. One of the big issues in the schools is the healthy food something that people eat? Is it healthy to start with? No data exists now whatsoever. As we talk to young people, what do they want? Not more math classes necessarily, but they would like to have school food that they can eat. And this is a challenge, so you need the data. So that bill would mandate data. We're not getting into all the specifics. I want to thank everyone who's been working on this. Queen Elizabeth II 9/11 Memorial Garden. I must admit, when I hear the word Elizabeth, I think of Elizabeth Street Garden. Oh my God. So I'm so happy that your garden is not exactly the same name, but it comes close, so scared the shit out of me. But this garden, as challenging as it is, as Lincoln knows, has nothing compared to the other one. But between the Parks anybody who's trying to get it right, because it's complicated. I also want to say that we are restarting our disabled task force. We're going to work on workforce and other topics that are of incredible interest to the disabled community. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Borough President. All right, we have a couple more speakers, and I'd like to call up Adrian Sosin to talk about 250 water. And then I'll have Joel Sasinski right behind her. And we're going to keep to 2 minutes, okay? So, you want to join her?
Good evening. My name is Andy Sosin. I'm a resident of Southbridge Towers. It was very good to come in here and see that the public notice for the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation brownfield cleanup application is out on the table to give public comment about the brownfield application that was filed. It was actually filed, the notice says it was filed by the 250 Water Street Seaport District LLC, which is actually a name for the Howard Hughes Corporation. And what they are trying to do, of course, is to erect a large building within the South Street Seaport Historic District. Last night, the Southbridge Towers community held a town meeting for Southbridge in the neighborhood. And the tone of that meeting and the outcome of that meeting is that the Southbridge community is opposed to the brownfield cleanup application that was submitted to the state. We are submitting our comments. We hope you will submit comments in opposition to this brownfield cleanup application. We do feel that the Howard Hughes Corporation has been duplicitous in its dealings with both the city, the Seaport, the community, and we are very much opposed to what they are trying to do. Their application did include a statement where they say they want to enhance the skyline of New York, which is a bold-faced desire to breach the historic district of the Seaport and to put up a large, unaffordable housing. So I do hope that that is clarified. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Joel?
What I would just like to add is that what is going on, and I think the community board needs to be fully aware of that, it's a scheme to destroy the South Street Seaport Historic District. It started with Howard Hughes purchasing the lot from the Milstein at an exorbitant amount of money. Based upon the zoning regulations in the Seaport District, they could not build a structure higher than 120 feet. Based upon what they paid for the property, there is no way that they can make a profit. What they're looking to do is to go through various governmental processes to take that lot out of the South Street Seaport Historic District, to be able to transfer air rights into that district and to build, as my wife said, unaffordable housing and to destroy the seaport. This is clearly an operation where they are looking to make as much money as they can at the expense of destroying New York City's most historic districts. I would hope that everybody takes note of this, and I hope that the community board will do whatever it can to help save the seaport. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Our next speaker, and then forgive my pronunciation, Sussens Harry, about the voids.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Audit, and I'm here on behalf of Councilmember Maiden Lane to speak in support of the mechanical voids tax amendment. While most of New York is already protected from voids through sky exposure planes and high caps.
Speak up, sir. Speak up.
Can't hear you. Sorry about that. It's better.
That's better. Better.
While most of New York is already protected from voids through sky exposure planes or high caps in historic districts, New buildings in zoning districts R9 and R10 have no such limitations, resulting in abuse of loopholes in tower regulations. Mechanical spaces that were meant to only house working equipment were converted into massive voids in excess of 100 feet in locations like 432 Park, robbing us of natural light and air. Some of the proposed solutions to this have been discouraging tall voids, those larger than 25 feet count, against the floor area. Discouraging clustering of voids, preventing them from being within 75 feet of one another. Also count against the floor area, preventing voids in mixed-use residential buildings. We believe the Department of City Planning's text amendment is an important step in eliminating these loopholes, but only as a first step. Additional work has to be done to address unenclosed voids and towers themselves as well. You have a resolution that is in support of this, and we hope you will vote in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last speaker, Jonathan Johnson. Jonathan?
Hello, my name is Jonathan Johnson, and I'm a real estate salesperson down here in Battery Park City.
Speaking to the microphone.
I'm a real estate salesperson down here in Battery Park City, and I missed the last Battery Park City meeting, so I felt that I had to speak up now about this liquor license for the Cove Club. I've actually had dealings with that man, but to put that aside, you have between 400 and 600 apartments facing or around that area. And that means, it says here that there will be no liquor service. I mean, it clearly says it, and yet he wants liquor license. So now, I hope it's not the beginning of the broken window theory, where the different businesses around start seeing they'll make more money as a restaurant and change their business practices to become a restaurant. This is a very quiet neighborhood, and that's why we all moved here. We already have a problem on Albany and South End Avenue with that corner bar there at 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night. You have people that are stumbling and they're inebriated and they're making noise, and everybody that lives at 300 Albany, all facing that way, have a serious problem. They call 311 all the time, and nothing gets done. So now we're going to have another problem, possibly a problem, on that corner. And I really think that we have to take that vote again and not even give them permission until they do everything that they're supposed to do. And that's my speech.
Thank you, Jonathan. And with that, Ramesh, I don't have any more, do we? No more. Great. So with that, excuse me, I'm going to close the public session and move into our business section. And if there's no objections to the minutes, I'll move that we have adopted them. Any objections? Thank you. And now we'll move to our district manager's report. Lucien.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lucian Reynolds. I'm the district manager for Manhattan Community Board 1. I'll try to keep this brief, but we have a lot for February. So to start things off with what's most fresh in the mind is we had an inventory audit. The comptroller recently completed their preliminary look around of the office. They wanted to see how well we were cataloging our high-value office equipment. The initial feedback that we got from their office was very positive, and we'll be receiving their preliminary report in the coming months, which we will preserve for inspection by CB1 members. So thank you to Lucy Acevedo for doing such a thorough job on this.
Great job, Lucy. If you come in the office, she's going to put a property tag on any of it, so be careful.
If you pull the tag off, it says void, so it'll say void on you forever. I'm proactively working with construction managers of buildings that are under construction or that are converting to residential to help them isolate practices that are causing serious quality of life issues within the community. Not all developers come to the table willingly, but I'm making progress with 130 William Street. As most of the recent, 130 William is the most recent connection that we've put together. Using resident complaints, we've identified some work that can be rescheduled and mitigated noise-wise. I hope to continue making similar progress and rely on communication with our district's residents. So please do not hesitate to call or email the office whenever you have an issue with noise, light, or vibration, especially when you're trying to sleep. So after hours is especially egregious, so we can target these these types of practices and try to mitigate them as much as we can. Over the last couple of months, I've been lobbying the Mayor's Office of Citywide Events to eliminate a potential five-borough bike tour-related delay on the Worth Street DDC project that would have potentially set the work back at least a month. But now DOT and DDC have figured out a way to accommodate the bike tour without that delay. So thank you to Bike New York, the Mayor's Office, DOT, and DDC for eliminating that delay. I am making progress in reaching out to the landlord at 111 Broadway with regards to the light display that is disrupting the sleep of the residential neighbors. They're now aware of the impacts their lights are having on people around them, and they know that the community has a reasonable ask that they shut those lights down at 9 p.m. so people are allowed, they may sleep. I'm also saddened to report that the public plaza next to the Manhattan Detention Complex is still filled with personal and official vehicles belonging to the Department of Corrections. We hope the plaza will be available in its entirety as soon as the warm weather returns to the city and the DOC commissioner finds a new place to park his personal car. Diane, do we have a picture of that? So I just want to have a picture for you. This is as recently as today. So we'll keep revisiting this until they take all the cars out of the public plaza.
And this is what they claim was still open for.
They want to
They think that's open.
Yeah. Thank you, Lucian.
Yep.
And to everyone else,
That's it.
finally brief, I would say that I wind up putting up what I thought was some important issues.
Minimizing
Let's
pollution
continue
from
on
one
with that. Okay, very quickly, placid abuse, or should I call it more appropriately, corruption. March 10th, there were several bills working through the council right now to support them, and the mayor has announced a new initiative which will move to an electronic system. It yet to be seen as to whether or not that will be effective. However, it is important that we keep on top of this. Our neighborhood is especially impacted with all of city agencies. So you'll hear more about that. The next topic, neighborhood support teams. We've been working with this process for maybe 6 months or more. Pat Moore, Patrick Cannell, Lucian has been a real spearhead of that. We've gotten the final report back. We're going to respond to that and ask for more activity, particularly in the area of sanitation. And all this relates to the impact of the overdevelopment or rapid development within our district. And then another item is rifle gun. This is still an important issue. The city will certify this for ULO, to start ULO by March 25th.
Thank you.
So you will be hearing more and more. Task committee will be very active with this, and we look for lots of input from everyone, particularly from our neighbors in CB3 and in Chinatown. All right, charter revision. I've been harping on this. We may have a task force coming up, trying to work out some details. But every time we talk about things that we react to or that need improvement, are fair game as a suggestion to the charter revision. So there are a series of meetings coming up that will cover some of the items, and you can see some of them. We'll talk more about that. I think Lucian and I will send out some materials so you all know about these dates. Some are past, some will be coming up. But it's important. Any ideas you have? I mean, I thought the other day, we have a resolution tonight talked about Passport Park. And we have the issue of the Public Design Commission weighing in on it. No one here has ever heard from the Public Design Commission. We complain about it all the time. Now's the time to get some input into charter revision as to what the process and transparency of any city group should be. Next item. Priorities. I talked about what was happening. I want to talk a little bit about some of the priorities. And you'll be hearing soon, our Urban Fellow has come up with a report on how we handle the budget process. And in fact, some preliminary replies to our budget input are coming in. And we need to figure out the best way to track all of our demands for budget, both capital and expense. So you'll be hearing more about that. Resiliency. All of us here have pushed hard. I'd like to say we should push more, but it is it isn't making the progress of the past. So we're starting to work with more public officials and pushing the city even harder through other elected officials to have them come and give us more updates on this. I was particularly troubled. There was an announcement of some federal money going to Staten Island last week. I brought that to our congressman, we'll talk about that later, and said this is absolutely wrong, where Lower Manhattan is not paying, or this other district is not paying its fair share of federal funds. Victim compensation fund. I have this also in a little report that we talk about with now. And it gets complicated because there were, believe it or not, there are actually two bills. They are integrated, but there are two separate bills. One for the first responders and one for community people. The one for community had a 5-year span. It was coming up in 2020 or 2021, and you can correct me at any point. But no one expected the latency, particularly of cancer cases, in that time period. And so the Congress knew that they were going to have to extend it, which is why it's come back right now. But they thought they would have to do that in 2020, not this year. It seems to be very bipartisan. Nadler, Maloney, and others are very involved with this. You know, there was an event yesterday that went to Washington, D.C., and so hard to sound optimistic, but all of the right people are aligning with it. They understood the problem. This has happened 1 year earlier than they had to address it, and that's why the special administrator cut back on the amount that they were allowing. That will all be rectified in the new bill, and you'll hear more about that. Let's go on to the next one. I mentioned, you'll see this slide regularly. This will be the year of the East Side. Tonight we'll start talking about the Brooklyn Bridge Esplanade. We will continue on with the New Market Building and the Seaport Advisory Group. And then you'll hear more, I don't see your thunder, Pepford Park. Looks like all of the approvals are now in place and we're moving forward. You'll hear this more detail. So, and then more information will be forthcoming about the brownfield. In everyone's package and at the back of the table, there's a letter that I sent on behalf of the Community Board to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, which administers this program. It's a voluntary program. There was never a requirement that any community board weigh in, but there was a very open comment period, and we weighed in saying that we are concerned about the impact of any development there, the remediation of the already identified toxins that are there, and the proximity to the schools. We did one further thing. We registered ourselves as an official repository of all documents relative to the brownfield administration. So we have that on file. Diana's doing a great job of handling that, and feel free to give her a call about how that's moving on. So you'll be hearing lots more about that. There is more. One thing they did do, I don't know, I'd love to take credit to all that is there, but I think lots of our neighbors sent comments to the DEC, and they have extended the comment period until March 6th. So this is on the back also. Call our office if you need more information, but there is more time to do more comment. Lovely picture. We jumped on taking through Hannah's help a meeting with our congressman. And you know, it was a dual purpose. He wanted to know what was on our minds and keeping us up at night, and we wanted to know what he could do for us on the federal level. We put on everything. It was a conversation, spent a lot of time about getting his opinion to help us work more on resiliency on the federal level. We alerted him to the lack of transparency and collaboration at the city level, and he and his staff promised to work on that issue with us. affordable housing. Well, that's a hot issue for us. And the one thing that we agreed that perhaps he can help us with, the setting of AMRs, or average mean income,
Area median income.
area median income, is in many cases way too high for what the average person may for affordable housing. We talked a little about seniors, the development impact, rule seek, sanitation, public safety, mass transit. Now, congestion pricing will be a hot issue, and I love the marketing of it being congestion pricing, when it may really in fact be a tax on cars. But there are things that we need to do to really address congestion. We have too much traffic. He brought up two great facts. In the U.S., nationwide, 43% of all goods are hauled by rail. In New York's area, 1%. We truck everything into New York. And that needs to be addressed. The project is called Gateway. One of it is a pure rail cargo or product transportation that may help us. So we asked him to help us focus on that. Governor Simon is in his district, and we brought up to him that we need to be careful about the nature of that island and what kind of development takes place there, and that the community board has some strong feelings on that. He went on at length about the victims' compensation law. He actually was one of the sponsors of the original one, so he has some nuances that probably most of us don't know.
That's
You
right.
want to add
No,
to
no.
that? And he felt confident that the Congress could get this addressed now. They knew they were going to have to do it in 2020, but all of the cases have driven this fund on the community side. It is different on the first responder side, though. Lucian jumped right in, practice. But practice even on the federal level. We have issues where there are federal agencies, for example, in Battery Park. And so he can help us with that. Frozen zones around some of the areas. Lucian has some great ideas about just making open space in those frozen areas, particularly around 26th Federal Place. Something as mundane as ferry bonds. We have more and more waterborne traffic. It makes sense, but there are more and more in residential areas. And some regulations need to be looked at. And so that on a federal level is something we can help us with. I think I'm almost done except for my normal pretty pictures. I was happy to be invited. Pace Plaza has been reopened. It looks great. And even the building next to them, I think it's 41.
41.
Right. Thank you. Which is a landmark building, was beautifully restored. The entrances, there's a wonderful public art gallery there, and a wonderful opening, and a great improvement to our neighborhood and to having these neighbors. If I can move on, Diana. I went to Ulene's Town Hall, and in every meeting, you may not pick out everything, but there's always one or two gems. There was a session on affordable housing. I was proud to know that our state senator, Brian Kavanaugh, is head of the housing committee at the state level. So you'll see a resolution tonight. Our absent and recovering member Tom Goodwine has been a strong advocate for getting state legislation corrected to some of the issues about preserving affordable housing. I put this before I knew that Paul was going to report on it. Oh, I think everyone has seen the leadership training that the Borough President's Office has put out. I know many of you have joined some. There's another email I saw today. I encourage you to take any that are of interest and are still available. That's the good news. Bad news, I went to one last week that was on parliamentary procedure. So it'll probably be a pain in the neck going forward with what motions carried and whatever. I think we heard this report last time, and I was at the precinct council. there is a crime victims assistance. There are actually two people, two women, very expert in this, that are located in the first precinct. And it covers all crime victims, whether it's elder abuse, child abuse, sexual or domestic violence, or any kind of street harm. There are assistants out there. You can see it more. I just picked this out of the all the reports that come from the downtown one. Boy, they do a great job in looking at, I don't want to spend a lot of time, but the nature of our neighborhood, commercial real estate, the leasing, you can see that we are no longer, even though we may have a lot of financial strength here, the good news is diversity. There are more types of businesses locating, spending money, bringing jobs to Lower Manhattan in different categories. So whether it's professional or media, technology, information services, advertising, our neighborhood is becoming a central business district with a much more robust profile. Lucy talked about this. You know, I don't know, is it technology or white pollution? But this will be an issue we'll have to wrestle with. We'll talk more about that. And the final one is, congratulations, CB1 was represented vis-a-vis Devon 2 as the introduction to our borough president stated in the borough. So, thank you so much. Turn it over now and we'll go through our reports. Our first one will be tonight there was an event at Manhattan Youth, a one-year anniversary and launching of the foundation of a tragedy that happened in our community. Bob Townley, but I don't see him here yet.
No,
but I said he is.
So maybe we should wait.
You want to wait or?
Well, he wanted to be here for that report.
For the
He's
report?
not here.
So what I was going to do was switch waterfront with transportation to give Bob a little time.
Well, he wanted to be here for your report, so I should go.
Here's the report. So why don't you, and then we'll interrupt. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Nice job.
Okay, let's get started. We've already heard a number of comments about the first item on our agenda, which is the East River Esplanade project. We had a large meeting. First, a little background on the project. This is a remnant from, you recall, after 9/11, speaking of federal funds, we got $2 billion to rebuild Lower Manhattan. Well, this was one of the projects that was scheduled as part of the renovation of Lower Manhattan. Lo and behold, it's finally coming to fruition, so we're happy about that. So this is that project. It's basically a portion of the waterfront running from Peck Slip in our district to Catherine Slip in Port 3. So we had a meeting, and we had a very heavily attended, good meeting. There were over 100 people there, lots of people commented. You heard some of the issues that were discussed. Plus, Pool did a great job, and they brought a lot of good support down there, and they are part of our resolution. And of course, the other issue that you've heard about in the past is this Working Bridge Beach, which we continue to support. But let me just go down the list. So after considerable discussion, I should also point out that the city has been conducting its own surveys online and in person in the area. They've collected, I think, about 800 or more surveys, many of them, most of them from our area. So many people have given input, including, as I said, a number of people showing up at our meetings. We had a very good discussion, getting a lot of input, both from those surveys and from the people at the meeting. Then the committee came together to put together the resolution that's before you now. So let's quickly go through it. If you go to the therefore be it resolved, First element is common stuff that people are always asking for, vegetation, landscaping, which is not that easy because it does have covering, but people want it, so they're going to try to do it. Improved lighting, pedestrian pathways, these are standard things. Okay, number 2. We reiterated, this was common language from previous support. The board has stated, reiterated that there must be unfettered and unmanaged access to the natural beach below Brooklyn Bridge during regular hours of operation, mirroring the beach across the river at Dumbo and Pier 4.
Well, when I wrote that, I left one
Let's
thing
have
out.
him finish this, please.
All right.
And you want the chair has to recognize you. That's a new thing in parliamentary procedure.
Okay, so let me get through it. I certainly will come to you. Okay. Number 3, better lighting along the East River, not balanced and not overbearing. Number 4, again with the plus pool, we think that's a great opportunity for this neighborhood to create additional recreation space. That was certainly a major issue that came up at our meeting. A lot of people, children, as you've heard many times, the east side of our district is not as fortunate as the west side as far as park space, especially for kids. We don't have parks in Battery Park City. We don't have Hudson River Park. We could use more park space, so we made that clear. We know not everything is going to get done in this rather small area, but we certainly put it out to them. Do what you can, and plus pool would be a great addition. Okay, number 5. This is related to voting. So we said, where possible, and again, it's not entirely clear that this project is going to have jurisdiction over this area, but we still wanted to put it out there that we would like to see if we can create space for boats to tie up, etc. Number 6, again, the issue of active recreation space. We talked about that, and I'll talk about that a little more later as we get into the issue of the new market building replacement. And finally, number 7 is the issue of maintenance. That was probably the number 1 thing that came up in the survey, that people said the area is very poorly maintained, and anyone who walks there could see it's unfortunately true. So we said, and this is something that's been recommended again and again by different groups. Most recently, at the Seaport Working Group, there was a recommendation to form, or to certainly try to consider forming, a different group to oversee management of this waterfront. That's being done with most waterfront areas, and we certainly put in language saying that we want the 2 community boards represented on such a body. So that's the resolution before you, and I guess
All right, do I have any comments? Mark, I have you first now from this zone. Mark?
Two quick things. For number 2, when I wrote this, I left one thing out. So where the sentence starts, beach access across the river at, which should include Brooklyn Bridge, Park, Dumbo, and Pier 4.
Fine.
And then in number 5...
Mark, hold on.
Brooklyn Bridge Park,
Yeah,
before
I left that out.
Dumbo.
My mistake. And in number 5, at the very end, we spoke about maritime uses and water-dependent uses, which are might be a little bit different. And we did use the phrase water-dependent, so if we just say at the end there, maritime/water-dependent uses.
Where are you speaking?
Number 5, the very last sentence at the very end.
Sure,
Range of
that's
potential
fine.
And what are you
maritime,
saying?
maritime/water-dependent uses.
Are you okay with that, Paul?
We discussed that.
Yes, that's
I'm
that's
talking
fine.
to him
That's
first.
fine.
Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry, I need him just to repeat it, just because it's been accepted.
Want me to repeat it?
Yes,
So
please.
the very last sentence of number 5 was of potential maritime, so maritime/water-dependent uses. Thank you.
Good. So?
Item number 2, does that mean swimming and rowboats and canoes?
I think that's what this
Unsaid,
board
yeah.
has asked to try to do as much access to the water as is feasible. Obviously, safety is important.
So your answer is yes?
Yes, that's been, as far as I know, the historic position of this board.
Tom?
If I could add to that, say also in-water resources.
Tom, be specific. What do you want with?
In-water resources might mandate on mooring field, some sort of system, people can kayak up, and get on the beach. Or whatever.
Are you suggesting changes here, Tom?
I was just going to tack on.
On item 5?
I hope I didn't mess it up.
It only goes to the bulkhead. That's why we. Right.
Tie-ups could also be in water.
Is it okay that tie-ups is, I understand where you're
Well,
going.
enough to,
Again,
hang on for a
one of
moment.
the issues that was raised at the meeting is that this project is not going to go beyond the bulkhead. So, yes, we are making recommendations to EDC about other issues, and I don't have an objection to doing that. Maybe we could throw that in as we also have a discussion about the new market building and what goes on around that building. So maybe that would be appropriate over there.
Okay, Alice?
I'm sorry that they didn't get ironed out there and maybe not. Can you pull up just the slide? Do you have a slide showing the whole line? Which is basically the point. I'm just concerned that we really make sure we make clear what we want and don't want going under the FDR drive. And specifically, if you look at the slide that shows it in purple, you see well, maybe it's not there, but it's a large portion of what's really available to us for the design. And so here's one thought, which is right now a lot of it's parking, and I'm not sure that the community wants to see cars in that place. And unless we make clear that we don't want cars there, we probably will have cars there. That's a way to make money. So we might want to add to one word that the available open space under the FDR is passed as an active recreational space and not be used for parking. I don't know if that's one.
My only misgivings about that, frankly, is that EDC and the city are going to come back and they want to generate income to support the park, and just because they want income. That's one of the reasons we're going to talk about that concession next. Now, I'm not saying that's a great use, but I'm not sure that people wouldn't rather see parking than a 30 or 40-story building built to generate income in that neighborhood, in the historic district. So I just think that might need a little more discussion before we officially, state. And that was not really raised at the meeting, the parking issue. It wasn't. So I would rather have some discussion on that.
Okay. And then the other one,
Look.
that can be the part is open, along on the FDR, brought up before. If you want to along the Escanati West.
I support that. We could add that if we.
Well, I couldn't hear what you're
We're
saying.
talking about.
Please stand up and speak up.
So this would be number 8,
So the
correct?
first one, it sounds like we're supportive of parking, we're not going to say no parking, okay.
No.
So the second one.
No, we're not supportive of parking. It's not going in here.
Right.
There's a difference.
Okay.
We'll go after the parking next.
Okay, good. CB urges that the view corridors along the Escanati left entirely open with no visual or physical obstructions. Something to that effect.
Excellent.
That's
And the
okay
last
with me.
one-
Yeah.
View corridors along, a little slower. I'm
This will be in number 8, point number 8.
CP1 urges that the view corridors along,
Proposed Esplanade be left entirely open with no visual or physical obstruction. And then the last one is just, it's very disappointing to see that we're not seeing any resiliency efforts dovetailed with this particular initiative, which we state very clearly in this, which I think is great. I wonder if there should be a call for some sort of, review of what they could do to coordinate with the city ORR's office.
I would think that's, what do you think, Paul? Are you okay with that?
The only, again, hesitancy I might have on that is that there's a limited budget here, $21 million. I don't think we have enough money to pay for resiliency out of that $21 million. Clearly, we want resiliency along the east side and along this whole section of CB1, but I just don't want them to think that.
I'm not suggesting to pay resiliency, although that would be grand, but I'm just saying maybe see what you're just at the design, show how it will coordinate with the city.
That makes sense.
The ORR resiliency.
Otherwise, it's a waste of money.
It's clear they can't afford to do both, but that how it's coordinated.
We urge the city to take steps to
but still.
put in better resiliency measures moving it forward.
Yeah, good. Okay, having that debate, I would now like to call the question. All in favor?
Roll call.
Oh, that's right, first one's a roll call.
Okay. Amoruso.
Life speech, yes.
Yes? Burton.
Yes.
Blank.
Yes.
Boyd.
Once.
Boyd.
Boyce.
Boyce.
Mason.
Mason.
Not here.
Not here? Okay. Byram.
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Charkoudian.
Yes.
Chu.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Kucha.
Yes.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Ehrlich.
Yes.
Erman.
Yes.
Frederickson. Frederickson. Friedman.
Yes.
Froman.
Yes.
Goldstein.
Yes.
Goodkind. Goodkind. Gupta.
Yes.
Jesse. Yes. Hovitz.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Joyce.
Yes.
Cannell.
Yes.
Kettering.
Yes.
Capel.
Yes.
Kopelman. Hoppelman. Eric. Lemire. Lerner.
Abstain.
Abstain. Lewinson. Yes. Mahoney.
Yes.
Markel.
Yes.
McHugh.
Yes.
Meltzer.
Yes.
Mihawk.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Notaro.
Notaro.
Yes.
Notaro. Romero.
What?
Romero. Schneck. Starr. Okay. Sung.
Yes.
Tedesco. Callie.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, yes.
Yes, okay. Thomas.
Yes.
Townley.
Yes.
Weinstock.
Judith.
Weinstock. Judith?
Nope.
Here? Okay. Chi. Chi. And Zelter.
Yes.
All right.
How many is there?
I'll count it.
So I think we're gonna,
Well, it obviously passes, but yeah.
Okay,
more to come, but
yes, we're going to have a full suspense for a moment, and Bob Townley, in reference to you, I'm going to have Reggie come up and do the resolution that you all worked on, so.
Paul can finish his report, I appreciate it.
No, we'd like to see you leave.
Well, I still have some time, I mean,
We want you to be able to make the
it's up to
event.
you, Anthony, you're the chair, thank you. I appreciate
You have another resolution, right?
I have another resolution.
For you.
Yeah.
And all right, okay.
Yeah, if you're okay.
Yeah, okay, so,
One abstain.
And one
Just want to
abstention.
be respectful of your time.
Okay.
you know how the board can be elected.
Okay, moving forward, the next item you have is the same item that we discussed at the very end of the last meeting, which is the Public Design Commission application by Howard Hughes Corporation for parking concession under the FDR Drive, specifically at John Street. As you may recall, we ended up adopting a resolution saying we would be opposed to that unless the view corridor was left open. Okay? So in response to that, Howard Hughes asked to come back and modify their proposal, and they wanted to show it to us to see if this was okay. Okay. So why don't we move forward? I think we should just show the next one. Yes, this is the main one that you should look at. So this is the proposal that they showed us.
The new one.
This is the new and improved. Yes. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just cut to the chase very quickly because I can even see some reaction around the room. We had the same reaction when the committee reviewed it. Everybody just said, not good enough, not good enough. And, you know, I should also note that in doing a little more research on this topic, we found that many other studies specifically recommended no blockage of view corridors, including in this area, such as the Seaport Working Group. Again, that was one of their recommendations, leave the view corridors clear. And we even found a report in 2007 from the Bloomberg administration on the East River waterfront, where they specifically said, leave the view corridors clear. Anyway, with that being said, the resolution is before you and it says what I just said. No, it's still not good enough.
So there's no comments, we will hold the question. All in favor? Any opposed, refusal, or abstention? One refusal, Tom. A refusal from residents. Thank you all, thank you, Paul.
Okay, I just have two quick reports now. One would be on PEC-SLIP. As indicated, PEC-SLIP is a new park scheduled for the Seaport area, and there was a referral back to the Landmarks Commission on it, and there was the report is that basically the only changes that are coming about as a result of that review process is some trees need to be modified, and they're working with staff to increase some shade trees in the area. But bottom line is they expect the design work to proceed in May of this year. And then that will take about 9 months, and if all goes well, the project should be in construction early next year. About 1 year from now, construction should begin, and 1 year further, it should be completed. So that's the update on PEC-SLIP. Basically good news. And the last item I'll just quickly cover is the new market building site. New market building, I don't know if we have any pictures of that, but it's one of the old Seaport buildings that, Fulton Fish Market buildings, I should say, that's still standing, but is scheduled to be demolished. It's in bad shape, and unfortunately, EDC said there's no choice but to demolish it. So it's the one closest to the Brooklyn Bridge, just south of the bridge. Anyway, at some of the meetings that we've had on that Seaport Working Group and other sessions, they've suggested to us maybe you have some ideas. The city said they don't know what they're going to do with the site. Apparently there's no budget for it, so a lot of this is just trying to get the project moving, so it's not anything too real. So I'll be very quick to just say we did have a good discussion on it. There were a lot of good recommendations. For example, the Plus Pool people said that might be a good opportunity for them to have restrooms for their facility there. A lot of people envisioned or spoke of maybe a smaller building that would house community spaces and have rooftop field for children on it on the top. There was talk about parks, schools, boat docks, green markets, libraries, you know, the usual. So anyway, bottom line is more to come on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Great. Reggie. Transportation.
Bob, do you want me to just go straight to the, just go through the agenda?
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Election Day. Just a fun fact about this podium, it was actually built by DCAS employees. It was not actually ordered in from outside the city. Just a little municipal fun fact for everybody. We had a fun transportation committee Great segue. We had a fun transportation committee meeting this month. We had a number of items, so I'll take the first one, which is the American Heart Association Wall Street Run and Heart Walk. This is an interesting application in the sense that when we had the first meeting on this back in January, I believe, no one actually come out against it, but fortunately, a number of neighbors on the community board had talked about some of the issues they saw last year. We reheard the application, and we were pleased to have a number of neighbors who came out to express their concern. This is an event that has roughly 10,000 runners. It's expected to take place on May 16, 2019, and it's been running for the better part of the past 20 years. We have heard a number of complaints over the past, especially few years, where it is impossible to walk across the street. It's gridlock. I think you can just tell from the route. The east-west connections are especially tough with the numerous street closures. We've also heard that the stated times for the actual closure don't actually align up with what happens in real-world practice. We did have one neighbor who was especially upset and talked about his almost PTSD-like experience trying to handle some of his family responsibilities, also trying to get by and work with the police. All in all, you can, just from the tenor of the conversation, this isn't a reflection on the American Heart Association, who does phenomenal work in the city and across the country, but it is a concern that an event that's happened over the past 20 years in terms of what's relatively the same map hasn't kept up to pace with the development of our community over the past 20 years. And as that's changed, we do need to take a look at the actual map itself and make sure that changes as well. So as part of our resolution, we are requesting or urging a denial of the application, but we are also requesting a meet with SAFO immediately after the event this year, assuming it does take place, to talk about redoing the map and maybe looking at using more of the river crossings, or sorry, the river running, if you will, along the Hudson and East River. So yes.
Yeah. One quick suggested amendment. In addition to meeting with SAFO, I would add and the NYPD.
Great.
Yeah.
So we'll do the be it further resolve that, and we'll add NYPD after. Great. Anthony, should I continue? Oh, sorry.
I have one addition and actually two suggestions. In the first, therefore, be resolved, we should be clarify a little more on the timing and say CB1 opposes the event in response to proposed timing during the work week and the route.
The event takes place Thursday evening, so that's what's being referred to.
Is that okay?
No objection from my part.
And then that
Hold on. You have the word in there for that?
Sorry.
Yeah, are we missing one?
It says it right on there, though. It says the date of the event, so.
It says the date.
Yeah, but that's therefore be resolved, that should be clarified more, and that sentence should actually be the last sentence of the resolution. It shouldn't be tucked in there with everything else.
Well, I think it's a little late. The committee had the chance to construct that.
Well, I was on the committee, and I thought that would be decided.
That's fine. It's up to him, but when...
I have no objection. That's fine.
Yeah, but it needs to
clarify where exactly you want that.
Just honestly, agencies will just go to the last sentence and see if you oppose it tonight, and the opposition should be last and clear.
Okay. So
What
that's
is
the
your
last sentence of the
suggestion
entire resolution?
As I amended it.
Okay, great. So CB1 all the way through and around would go to the end of the resolution.
I'm sorry, what's the change?
I'm sorry. In the therefore be resolved that last sentence, CB1 opposed to the event, that sentence should go as the last sentence of the entire resolution.
Hold on.
But I have a question.
I'm confused.
Yeah, I'm very confused now. Hang on, top up.
So what Marcus is proposing is in the therefore be it resolved that for the American Heart Association resolution, that last sentence in that paragraph, CB1 opposes, that sentence, CB1 opposes the event in response to proposed timing and route.
Timing, date, and route.
Timing, date, and route, excuse me. That goes at the very end in the need for the resolve that. So that sentence that says future plans, et cetera, we add another sentence there that says CB1 opposes the event. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, be it fifth, be it.
It'll be a fifth, be it there. That's fine. So that will be its own, be it for the resolve.
I'm happy you guys are happy. It makes no sense to me, the person reading it, but so be it. I'll hold the question now. All in favor? Any opposed? Any refusals or abstentions? You abstain? Okay. Bob is abstaining. Thank you. Reggie?
All right, next item, Peace University subway signage. Peace University's in the house, right? All right.
Hey.
Peace University came to us because they would like to add some additional signage inside the local subway stops, specifically in the Brooklyn Bridge City Hall subway station, as well as the Fulton Street station. Those are sort of some of the options that they had considered. But specifically, they just want to come to us to say, would we be okay or would we support some additional signage? They're not talking about renaming Brooklyn Bridge City Hall Peace University. It's just to add some internal signage within the station itself. They're an institution in the community that's been here since 1906. So the committee didn't have any opposition, but we did request that they come back to us after they speak with MTA to show us any proposed changes to the station. All right.
What? Are there any comments on this resolution? If not, I will call the question. All in favor? Any opposed?
Correct. Yep.
Any opposed? Any refusal? Thank you.
All right, next one, Peace University, Spruce Street safety. So this right here is Spruce Street between Nassau and Gold Street. Just for clarification, we have the school there, we have the hospital there, we have Peace University to the left. This is an incredibly busy walkway, if you will, with the amount of students, Peace University students, school children, parents, and patients all within this general area. As a result of that, and also the stop signs aren't really working much, especially you can see from the traffic on the left. Go to the next slide. One of the ideas that were brought up by some of the PACE students was to actually install speed cushions as opposed to speed humps. Speed humps are elevated off the ground significantly. If you have an ambulance that goes over it, the patient in the back is going to be pretty ticked. So they suggested speed cushions. Go to the next slide. Oh, no, sorry, back to perfect. So DOT had requested that the community board, as well as I believe some of our local elected officials asked the community board if we would endorse this idea. We didn't have any objections. We thought it was a great compromise. So that's it. That's the resolution.
Call. Yes, so without any comments, I will call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Refusal or abstention? Abstention. Okay.
Wait, two abstains?
And Laura, you abstain? Okay.
Two abstains, Laura and Mark and Marissa.
Thank you.
All right, next one. Now we get to the real fun, electric scooters and e-bikes. The reason the committee took this up is that the city council had a hearing and was considering a whole host of pieces of legislation as it relates
Excuse me, Reggie. Hey, can we have some quiet in the back and pay attention up here? This will be an important resolution.
The acoustics are very good in this room. The sound carries.
All right, thanks, Reggie.
Oh, no, all good. Thank you, Anthony. And I'll try to go as efficiently as possible. So the city council heard a number of bills. We're considering a number of bills. So that's the reason that the transportation committee was considering this item specifically. So just as a point of reference, it's included within the resolution. So feel free to read what each of the bills are. But just as a 50,000-foot level, there are 4 bills. Intro 1250, operation of certain electric scooters. It removes the prohibitions of the use of electric scooters within the city, and it allows them as long as they don't exceed 15 miles an hour. Next slide. Same thing for electric bicycles. It removes the prohibition against the operation of certain electric bikes. You can use them as long as they don't exceed 20 miles an hour. Guess we can go to the next one. There was a pilot program that was considered where basically anywhere along the then proposed L train shutdown area would almost get a priority to have a pilot program of some sort to have electric scooters, not electric bikes. Next slide, Intro 1265. This is a conversion program that requires DOT to create some sort of program that allows folks to convert their full electric bikes into pedal assist electric bikes, especially to help those who are below income, and DOT can consider public-private partnerships to achieve this goal. So this is a tough one in the sense that we as a board, or we as a community, and we especially as a committee had a lot of differing views on this. All in all, there is an acknowledgement and appreciation for the opportunities that e-bikes and e-scooters can have in the city, especially for those of limited means. We are in a transportation crisis, if you will. Anything or any type of alternative transportation generally is welcome, but with great power comes great responsibility, as we all know. So with that, there was a genuine concern about the speeds that they're going at 15 or 20 miles an hour, in terms of making sure there's consistency between what e-bikes and e-scooters are allowed to do compared to other motor vehicles. There was a genuine safety issue because these bikes are usually much more heavier than the traditional bikes. So if you're hit at 20 miles an hour with this type of a bike versus a normal sized bike, it could do significantly more damage. But also enforcement, and we all see this right now, even though e-bikes and e-scooters aren't as widely used as we know they could be, enforcement is practically impossible. I mean, NYPD can't be running down the street to try to catch an e-bike. So all in all, there are a lot of pros and cons to this. So to this extent, if you go to therefore be a result of that, we kind of coalesce around 4 main principles as it relates to this specific topic. The first is that e-bikes and e-scooters should be prohibited on all dedicated bikeways and greenways. This is important. These are public park areas, and making sure that there's harmony between pedestrian use and bike use and e-scooter use is important. The second is that e-bikes and e-scooters should be registered and identified as to their owners and to their drivers. The third item is that we have to emphasize that e-bikes and e-scooters need to follow the same rules and regulations as any and all moving vehicles. And the fourth is that DOT should publish accompanying rules prior to the legislation being approved. And the reason why this is important is that each of the bills is literally only a paragraph. The City Council, unfortunately, did not do a long list of details regarding how this is going to be implemented, and that's up to the Department of Transportation. That's done usually 60, 90, 6 months after a bill is passed, so it's important that we as a community have a full understanding of how these all work together. That being said, we are going to have quite a lot of comments, I can see. So
Okay, we'll hear some questions first. Only for members first, Richard, sorry. But Joe had his hand up, and I'll come back to you. Joe?
Did the committee consider putting in a requirement that the riders should wear safety helmets?
It was not brought up, but I do imagine that there are folks who would have differing opinions on that. But it was not brought up, but to the extent you have an opinion on that.
Do you consider a friendly amendment on that now?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would, it's a good point. I would think that our last one about asking the DOT to publish rules about this, it should be inherent with all vehicles.
Yeah, but we should put our opinion as
I'll leave it to the chair.
And I suggest I offer that as an amendment.
Sure. I don't have an objection to that.
All right, Bruce.
First of all, I consider DOT one of the most maligned and least transparent agencies in New York City.
Oh, that's saying something.
Apparently, even DOT is more transparent than DOT.
I don't know about that, but...
That's how it is. And they get defensive very easily, regardless of what the circumstances are. But that aside, there are so many modalities of transportation now indicated in hieroglyphics on the streets, this is in the last few years, that they're impossible for almost any user to identify. The other day I was going across town on either 24th, 23rd, or 14th. There are so many hieroglyphics on the street that I did not understand them, and I pulled over. There happened to be full traffic cop at the corner. I said, what do all of these things mean? He said, I don't know. I've been wondering myself. So how you're squeezing yet another modality that's really even less safe than a motor scooter or a motorcycle, and all of these things interacting on the same street, I don't see how it's possible. I'm going to vote against anything that would allow one more, flimsy motorized vehicle onto our streets.
Okay. Eric?
Quick question on 3, when you say follow all moving vehicle regulations, does
Yeah.
that mean that those e-bikes and scooters should be in the road or the sidewalks?
So they're right now not allowed on the sidewalks. It doesn't matter if you're an e-bike or not, or a scooter or not. Just by law, they're not allowed to do that. Generally, if you have a bike, you should be inside the bike path. But should no bike path be available, you are permitted to be on the street, is my understanding.
So where would they be then, based on this?
The street.
No bike lanes.
Bike lane or street?
Yeah, it would just be either bike lane or street, that's it. No, that's a great clarification.
Susan?
So when you, the last number 4, who's going to enforce all this?
Yeah.
That's the problem, and I think it should be noted somewhere in our resolution, Reggie, that, I mean, it's like missing in the wind picture, pardon me, but I think we should note it, that it should accomplish accompanying rules and the manner of enforcement of these rules. I think that's critical, because nobody enforces anything, and the police certainly aren't going to do it, they have other things to do.
So to that point, we do acknowledge the enforcement issues in a paragraph in one of the whereases, but we should actually put that into the therefore be it resolved. So to that part about the rules, if we can maybe add and the manner in which it will be enforced to the end of that sentence, does that work?
It's fine.
Which, can you reinforce which, therefore?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of number 4,
1, 2, 3, 4.
It would
Okay.
now read the Department of Transportation should publish accompanying rules prior to the legislation being approved and the manner in which these rules will be enforced.
Yeah, you'll just give that to me.
Yes.
Okay? Thank you very much.
Andrew, I'll come back to you, but Bob, you have a comment, and then...
So Mark and Reggie and staff worked very hard on this resolution. It took a lot, it was well thought out. I think it deserves to be moved on to the appropriate agencies. My just point of information on what's going on is I don't always believe that because there's money behind something that it's an evil intent. But there is a lot of lobbying, there are articles, there is a lot of lobbying going on for e-scooters and e-bikes. And they have the ear of the governor. I think, I'm not pessimistic, but I think 2 things probably will happen. One is that I think the companies themselves need to be engaged. Even one of them came to our meeting. I think they need to be engaged because they don't want everybody getting splattered either. And then, if we're correct that it's a problem, then a lot of people are going to get hurt, and then there will be regulations. And so we're being proactive here, but it's clear to me that it's increasing in the amount of near misses. This isn't Washington, D.C., where you can jump on a little scooter and go, nice around the Washington Monument and stuff. But this is New York, baby. You gotta be ready. You come to New York, you gotta be ready. So I think that we're going to be proven right, but we could possibly engage further with this resolution other people, and we're working on it on a number of fronts.
I'm sorry.
Is there a suggestion that you would
No,
like?
I think my suggestion is to approve the resolution.
Okay, let me get Andrew, I'll come back to you, Mark. Andrew?
Reggie, sorry if I missed this, but are there any considerations of age parameters and or any type of licensing?
In terms of minimum age?
Yeah.
No, there's nothing about the minimum age. There was noted that those who are on the opposite end of the spectrum have a stronger interest in using e-bikes.
So in theory,
but nothing, there was nothing about
in theory, a 13 or 14-year-old could be operating.
Yeah.
And they probably are. Mark?
I was almost hit by one of these electric bikes on the way here.
Was it a CB1 member?
For this time, actually, Bruce and I are in agreement for once. So, just a resolution 101 here. We're contradicting each other in the same paragraph. So where it starts, however,
which
therefore we resolve that. Okay. And then, however, it should be the therefore further be it resolved. So that should be cut out down as therefore further be it resolved. And it should say not however we have, however CB1 has.
Okay. So in between mobility and however, we will put an enter. We will add and therefore be a result now. And we will say CB1 has serious reservations.
It will be therefore be it further resolved where however.
Okay. I just want to pause for a second to make sure we're good with that.
Separate the last paragraph after mobility.
Let's give the floor to Jeff Myhoff.
Okay.
No, let's do that.
You guys discussed the dangers of having
have a couple before, yeah, no problem.
I'm staying. Yes. They're heavy also. Number one. I'm always concerned when I'm biking, when I'm not riding a bike, about people zooming along, and if all of a sudden you open up the floodgates of those lanes being too long sun, those are bike lanes, they're not motorized vehicle lanes. So I'm going to go against this resolution, but I'm going to you guys talk about that. Yeah. We said it number one, Joe. I think in the future, we should have lanes dedicated for electric bicycles and vehicles. That's a great thing, I think the environmental benefits of it overall. But I feel like the danger of opening the door to this right now is to have so many electric bikes on lanes that people are, many people that have those lanes, and anybody who wait for 197 county lanes to come available with us, people who are really biking and working to bike are in a very special category. Like my road bike weighs about 13 pounds, and those things weigh about 40.
Yeah.
So, and you go 20 miles an hour without any.
That's a good.
I think you're opening up the floodgates to real problems with bike lanes. I recognize that you're trying to save the environmental benefits, but I feel like we should be trying to think further ahead and talk about updating bike lane systems up that are dedicated to bikes only on the actual road.
Sure, and not to spend even more time on this, but yes, that was considered absolutely. I hear you loud and clear that these are heavier, and it was noted in the resolution that they pose a bit more of a danger, if you will. The opposite side of that coin is, do we want to have those who are on e-bikes now be on the street or now be intersecting with cars when they could actually just be with other bicycles? And so it's a double-sided coin, which is why the committee didn't actually do anything about saying, no, you should go onto the streets only, but I definitely hear what you're saying.
Good, Eric?
Yeah.
Good. Let's
No, I hear what you're
hear
saying.
from Eric now. Well, Eric, we have a couple of others.
So, Reggie, you asked me a question about the moving.
Yeah.
For just that reason. We're going to require insurance for these operators because 20 miles an hour is below flipping, but something moving 20 miles an hour is actually going quite fast. It's faster than crosstown bus on the side of the street.
Well, my grandmother is faster than the crosstown bus. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, yes. Yep.
Then Bob, and then coming back to you. Okay?
Really asking for trouble, and I think it's better to not rush into this and actually consider the pivot that you avenue for the e-bikes in the streets rather than try to find someone to coexist on pedestrian paths as well as bike paths.
Gotcha. So is your suggestion to add to the road?
I'm voting as a engage an issue or people that want to find more useful outcomes.
I have Bob Sneff, and then we'll come back to you. Bob Sneff.
I just wanted to comment that, does this include skateboards? I think motorized skateboards are super dangerous. So I think...
We're only commenting on the legislation that's being proposed right
That
now.
includes electrified skateboards.
So this
Motorized
legislation?
skateboards that go that fast?
The electrified ones.
But that was not part of this legislation. My understanding is that motorized skateboards, I don't think they're equipped to go as fast as 15, 20, but honestly, we were blind to that. We were strictly commenting on the legislation.
So I think that that needs a break on it. The next thing is
Isn't that a scooter?
Some reference.
Because we have to go back to the definition of e-scooter, because the e-scooter may allow for a handlebar option with standing, so that's in the...
Okay, I want to get...
Oh, sorry,
I want to get your...
Also, that I think that these things really should be, that we should make some reference to insurance for these things because they're getting increasingly dangerous. And then I think that e-bikes and scooters are actually two separate categories. And to batch them together is misleading.
So I'll say two things. One is, I hear the part about insurance, so just on that note, you should, maybe for number 2, add just a note about insurance. So e-bikes and e-scooters should be registered, identified as the owners and their drivers, and ensure that they're insured.
Greg, you remember that Vision Zero says that cars only go 25.
Eric, I have to interrupt you for a moment. I want to give her the floor. Laura?
I'm just concerned that this isn't safe for pedestrians. I don't think we're enforcing that enough in this document, in your resolution. I mean, you talk about saying not the bike paths, but what about sidewalks and, people going the wrong way? Like, I already almost get run over walking to work with
Absolutely.
people, bicycles, motorized bikes going the wrong way.
on that note, Laura, just in terms of the enforcement
back
piece
to
and
you,
enforcement paragraph, sorry, I just want to make sure.
Reggie, the point is
Yeah.
that there's nobody to enforce this.
And I couldn't agree more with you.
It's like where, is Battery City Authority gonna have officers out there keeping people off of the.
They don't have authority.
Yeah,
And then when they come off the bikeway, they're gonna go onto the pedestrian way,
Sure.
so they're gonna go onto the West Side Highway.
So just maybe take a step back for a second. This resolution does not endorse the legislation. It's saying that we're requesting changes that we have concerns. So to make sure that part's abundantly clear. No one is.
It doesn't say that.
Maybe it has to be clearer.
That
We
if it's
oppose the
clearer,
resolution.
I would more than welcome to change it to make that more clear.
Potential, sorry, Christine, but it doesn't, I think that's.
So
why
then,
everybody voted
so then,
against it.
I'm gonna allow it, put you out of order.
Okay.
Finish up, and I'm coming to Wendy.
And so I think it has to be something, if we're,
Sure.
as Roger said, it's gonna happen politically, so that we can have a statement in some way that shows our upsetness by this, and the thoughtlessness and the way it's being.
I think, and just to end that, I think we all respect that, but we all have to be realists. We're not stopping the proliferation, and so we have to fill out some accommodation. Wendy? Yeah.
Is there any,
He's had her head up for a while.
was there
Everyone
any
in order.
talk about the parking issues and the junk issues? Because I'm assuming that one of the things that's going to happen is, a city bike with the bikeless docks and the scooters like Bird and some of these others that are in California that people are throwing over.
Yep.
When they get on the sidewalk, they just throw them out of the way. We are going to have people throwing them in the river. It's going to, so the density issue, is that in any of the bills that came up?
No, there's nothing specifically about that, but that's.
Can we write about that since we have a placard
One
car
of the things,
issue?
and to that point, one of the things that's what we put in about it should be registered, identified to actual owners, so that somebody is ultimately held accountable for, for any kind of misplacement.
And we don't want to hint to it, not only do we want to know who they are, but also that they'll be responsible for removing them. Something like that, because I think that's what you hear in Berkeley, California, and other places. And, to comment on the pedestrian safety, and I agree, I almost always get hit by the people coming the wrong way, is that can we put in there something like a ticking noise to help? It's almost like for the deaf, that some sort of noise that wouldn't be annoying
For the blind.
because electric cars have the same problem, that
For the
people get
blind.
hit because people can't hear them coming.
It's an interesting idea.
There's something like that.
Definitely.
I'm gonna go to Paul first, and I'll come back to you.
Yeah, just two things. I have a lot of concern about the question that was raised about age, and these are vehicles. I've always felt that we should have regular bicycles with license plates on them, so that the city could garner that, and there could be recourse if something happens. But in addition to the lack of anything here about age qualifications, I totally agree with Bob about the fact that wearing a helmet, all right? Most of us, when you have your kid on a bicycle, you make sure nowadays, when we were kids, of course it wasn't, but there were a lot of broken heads.
That's
all
what
right?
happened to your head, Paul.
I think that explains it, Bruce.
Hey.
I would have to vote against this without any additional recommendations as to age qualifications and of safety gear.
So I think we were going to add about the safety gear with the helmet, further suggestions, so we will have that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, and I hear you, Andrew, you pointed about the minimum age qualifications, so we can easily add that in as well.
Well, before that, I want to get, first quickly, Pat's had a hand up. You'll be the last one because we have to move on to Pat.
Okay, so this is something that we've talked about, quality of life, we're going on and on about it, now the legislation is actually written. The problem has always been the enforcement aspect.
Totally.
Yep. And even when we had the Lower Manhattan new DOT, I'm trying to think of, commissioner for DOT. And the thing that I said to him is, number one, I don't see where they're giving any kind of lessons to people people on either bike riding or scooter riding or motorized bike riding. And he's like, oh, no, no. I said, on the e-bike, on the bike, share bike, whatever it's called, I don't see where they have rules and regulations of the road. He said, oh, no, no, people know, and you were there, weren't you? Lucille, he was there. So the problem is that they are not making people take lessons. They're not making people, you're supposed to follow the rules of the traffic.
That's right.
They're not enforcing that. And so no matter what kind of legislation they write, if there's no enforcement, if the police department or traffic control is not going to enforce it, it doesn't matter what we say. I mean, that's really the problem.
But, all right, I said one more. We've been on this 20 minutes. Imagine when we do congestion pricing, we'll be here for 3 days. Go ahead, Roger. No.
So, I don't know if we, a lot of very good points that we raised tonight. I don't know if we have to incorporate all of these and vote on this tonight because it's a big, big issue. And if we could table it and come back with more consideration, I think that would be a benefit.
If you're making
there
it,
isn't time,
is it time sensitive?
if there isn't time, then I think it's really important to say we're not endorsing it.
Yep.
And here are all the issues we identified.
Yeah, I totally agree with Laura's point earlier that we can be clear that we are clearly not endorsing this position.
So what, is that a motion to table?
No, that's not. I agree. So can I just clarify something? So one of the interesting parts over the past 2 months of working on this resolution is there's clearly a lot of angst amongst our board for a number of years about the way enforcement has been done, the way that the bike plans have been put in, and trying to take all of these considerations into a response about e-bikes and e-scooters, which our local council member is a sponsor of all the bills, and being able to provide our community input is a challenge. So to the extent that this resolution is saying something, it's to talk about specifically these bills. We could have an entire packet full of a resolution about our general concerns about the way biking has been done in the city. But I am concerned that if our local members have sponsored these bills, we as a board should have some sort of a statement that could be given to her so she understands what our position is, so she knows if she should be a supporter, not a supporter. And I am concerned that we're not by tabling it, we're just further delaying the notes. And we'll just ask that if we have comments about this legislation specifically, we should put that in the resolution and make sure that we have a statement to her. I am more than happy, and I'm looking at Devin, who I'm sure is more than happy to spend an entire session strictly on biking for it.
I'm not available that night.
All right, so, hold on, before you go, let me combine the things that Reggie has said yes to thus far, right? So we all know what we're voting on, because Reggie has said yes to a few. All right, so there's a therefore be it resolved friendly amendment that helmets should be required for all riders, right? And the last therefore be it resolved is going to be separated out. So in the last paragraph after mobility period starts a new therefore be it resolved that starts with CB1 has serious reservations about potential safety issues. Within number 4, Reggie has revised wording to include, Reggie?
And the manner in which these rules will be enforced.
And then there is a 5th that says CB1 does not agree with the current bills as they exist unless rules and regulations are established prior to legalization.
I'm sorry, you did say you would get back to me, and the last thing you read is the kind of well-written prevarication that occurs in your committee. You can't please everybody. You don't need the second clause. You need just the first clause. As it's written is sufficient. Not unless and until, because you then take away the first.
All right, I'm perfectly happy current bills as written.
The largest city in the United States, the next largest.
Don't prevaricate. Stop.
Stop right where you are. Let's just see if Reggie accepts it.
Reggie.
All right, Reggie, I am calling the question
do you
now.
accept that?
I am, yes.
Done.
All right, so I'm calling the question. All in favor?
With the changes.
With the
those
changes.
Any opposed?
How many?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Five.
So that's
So who's
interpreted.
it? Bruce?
Hold on, if you oppose, put your hand back up, because we have to write down who opposed. Bruce? Eric?
I know, that's what it's.
Bruce,
Eric.
Pat was
Pat.
opposed, Susan was opposed, and Paul Hovis is opposed.
Any abstentions or refusal? Abstention?
Bruce, Eric,
One abstention.
Paul Hovis,
You abstain? Mark?
Susan Cole.
I'm
And
abstaining.
Elizabeth, do you abstain? Oh, no.
Tammy. And who's the lovely lady in the earrings over
I'm
there?
sorry, Joe? Both opposed.
And did you get Mark as an abstain?
Yes, he's
All right.
an abstain.
I think we need to do abstentions and opposes.
You want to do roll call?
Hey, guys. Hey, guys.
I know you guys can't realize this, but I'm up here and I now realize I regret talking so much when I was back. It really does vary, so.
Yeah.
Reggie, I think we're going to need to roll call it because we've had enough people changing since we took the vote and enough conversation.
So let's
Sorry.
do roll call now. Elizabeth?
Anthony, can we just clarify the vote? The vote is a resolution opposing the legislation.
Yes, that was the last phrase, I think we accepted. No matter what, we oppose it.
Not unless, there was no unless.
I just would say that a vote against this resolution looks like you're for the legislation. I've been working on this for a while. I suggest everybody vote yes on this resolution.
This resolution
No matter if it's not.
Okay, all right, stop. Roll call, Elizabeth.
Folks. The last line, can you please clarify what it says?
We're done. Roll call, please.
Amoruso. Abstain?
Yeah, Cole abstained.
Bruce, be quiet.
Okay, Burton.
It's very important that Paul.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Blank.
Yes.
Boyd. Byram.
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Charkoudian.
Yes.
Chu.
Yes.
Cole is opposed.
Susan?
Susan?
I'm gonna vote for it.
Oh, you are?
Yes, there you go.
Okay, all right. Kucha.
Yes.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Ehrlich. Ehrman.
Abstain, because I don't understand the resolution.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Frederickson. Friedman.
Yes.
Froman.
Yes.
Goldstein.
Abstain.
Abstain. Good
Yes.
time. Good time. Gupta.
Yes.
Jesse.
No.
Hovitz.
I'm a reluctant yes.
Okay. James.
Yes.
Joyce. Is Tricia here?
She left.
Okay. Cannell.
Yes.
Petring.
Yes.
Capel.
Yes.
Koppelman. Lemaire. Lerner.
Yes.
Lewinson, yes. Mahoney.
Yes.
Markel.
Yes.
McHugh.
Yes.
Meltzer.
Yes.
Mihawk.
Yes.
Moore.
Abstain.
Oh, I do this all the time. I once said Mihawk and you corrected me.
No, I told you it's
Mihawk.
Mihawk. I tell you.
Okay, Mihawk. Okay. Moore.
Abstain.
Okay. Nataro.
What are we voting on again?
No, the pronunciation of Jeff's name.
I said yes, sorry.
Okay. I used to call him Mihawk, and then someone told me it's Mihawk.
Yeah,
it's
Mihawk is
Mihawk.
a Spanish
I saw it.
pronunciation.
Okay. Nataro?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Romero. Schneck.
Yes.
Starr.
Yes.
Sung.
Yes.
Tedesco.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Townley.
Yes.
Weinstock. Chi. Zelter.
Yes.
Okay, well, it passes.
Woo! All right.
So
Thank
next
you.
item.
Next item.
Last item, I promise. John and Nassau Street stop sign request. So, first step is in terms of any new stop sign requests or to be implemented in our board, we do need to put a resolution so that it goes to DOT so they know that we as a board officially want it. We did receive a number of requests from residents of the financial district area that the stop sign be placed at the intersection of John and Nassau. As you can tell from sort of this map here, John Street is going just right in front of me. You can see it, Nassau's going across. Thank you, Diana. The yellow means that there is a stop sign there. However, there is parking that's usually blocking stop signs, which is happening. So this is a request to have a four-way or two-way stop sign, not a four-way stop sign, a two-way stop sign. Please, just call the question. I'm trying not to, guys. You guys have broken me. It's only been through the year.
By the way, that store's been going out of business for 10
Thank you,
years.
Roger.
Wow, this will be a lot easier. So we have
You think
three
so?
resolutions. The first was a retaining wall around Governor's House on Governor's Island. And I'm going to suggest we take all these together. The second one was a very large visible addition to 18 Harrison Street, and you can see on that. And the third was Beekman. On the retaining wall around Governor's Island, as you can see from the resolution, we were broadly in support of that, although they were trying to cut costs and have a cast bluestone coping stone, and we encouraged them to put a proper bluestone coping stone.
It's not 5 billion for that wall.
No, they've not got very much for that. But we still wanted them to do it right, because it's Governor's Island, which they said they would look into. On 18 Harrison Street, you can see that we managed to persuade the applicant to remove the stair bulkhead, so it actually took 10 feet off the sides of the addition. They wanted to use, for some design reasons, some rather inappropriate steel rusting wall for the penthouse, and we've encouraged them to use brick, which we thought was more appropriate. Do you want to see the pictures? I didn't know we had pictures, so if you want to go back, who's doing this? Okay, Ramesh. Okay, so it's the retaining wall here. Well, just go. So they're going to rebuild it and put a railing on it.
You're not fast enough for us.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
First two rows of the seats.
So on the Harrison, they're going to cut this off because they don't need it, and they're going to make this in brick rather than the rusty metal that they want to use. And then finally on 5 Beekman, this is the Beekman Hotel. They want to put canopies on the roof, which will be visible. And if they set them back 2 feet, they won't be visible. It's a bit more of an engineering project by setting them back 2 feet, because you have to, you're not able to just put the structure on the party wall. But they agreed to do that too. So we were able to make some concessions. So all of those were the 3 resolutions. So they're all in favour, but with certain modifications. Any questions?
Is 18 Harrison going to be a single-family home?
A two-family.
Two-family home.
Ooh-wee.
Any other questions?
Any other
question?
If they're not, I will hold. Why don't we do all 4? Is that okay?
Do what?
All 4 resolutions?
It's only 3. The last one's a report.
Let's do the 3 together.
3 resolutions and a report.
Fine. All right, so we'll vote on all 3 resolutions, unless you have problems. All in favor of all 3. Any opposed?
One.
We have 1
Which
opposed.
one? To all 3 of them?
No, he's in favor.
Okay.
Oh, you're in favor.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Refusals? Thank you. Roger?
And on the report, it's interesting. It's a fairly large application, but this is an example of the new LPC rules, because this application was approved by staff, and so they withdrew it from us because they didn't need to come to us. And it's very interesting because we're now seeing what the impact of some of these changes are, and they're quite significant.
Is that? Thank you, Roger. Is that fair game for the file from this time? That they change their own rule? No? Jeff?
LPC is enabled by landmarks law, so I think that probably should be because we could do that through council life, unless.
How much time have I got, Anthony?
Not much.
All right.
Well, you have plenty of time. You won't have any audience.
All right, we got
Take as many together as possible.
Oh, yeah. Let's.
Tribeca, right?
Are you taking Tribeca together?
Yeah, very quickly. There are a couple of corrections on the second and the third one, and I have the copies for you.
Okay, as long as You give those to me.
130 West Broadway is a sushi place, just a new ownership. 452 Washington is, the owner owned a place called the Greeks nearby, and it's just getting a liquor license attached to its cafe, which is already in existence. And 241 West Broadway, Frenchette. It's a sidewalk cafe now. On 452, there is a correction. The sidewalk cafe has 12 tables and 24 seats. And hours of liquor service are 10 to 11 p.m. Sunday and Thursday, 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. Friday to Saturday. Slight change from what was there. And then 241, correction is, it's 10 tables and 20 seats.
Do we still have quorum?
No, wait.
34? No, we're good.
Reading. Sorry, we had a bunch of confusion this month. That should be 7 tables and 14 seats, extending 10 and a half feet from the building line.
See what happens when you go on vacation. All right, so call the question for Tribeca.
I call it.
All right. All in favor of the Tribeca ones, raise your hand. Any opposed?
452 Washington.
Been opposed to that one. Any abstentions or refusals? Okay, thank you. Jeff?
All right, next is Finite. We've got there's 2 quick reports at the end here. 18 William looks to be pretty controversial. They're coming back next month. That's going to be a big event space they want to put right in where there's narrow streets and a lot of people living. They came to us, they met out in the hallway, the owners and the rep.
Which one?
18 William.
18 William.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Anyway, they're coming back.
Oh.
And 53 Stone Street, this is not correct. It wasn't an application for a liquor license. They have a liquor license. They wanted to be included in the application for the Stone Street pedestrian mall when it comes up. So, yeah. Okay, 151 Maiden Lane. There's a correction on 85 Broad Street.
Oh my God, please run this.
Which is the hours. Oh, there's a whole. This is a place. Black Box Coffee has been. It's on the 30th.
It's the 30th floor.
Yeah. Okay, it's up in the 30th floor. They have had a place. They want a liquor license. It's where WeWorks is. So they said they're only going to really be using it till 9 p.m., but they want 12 a.m. Hours because they might have catered events every now and then, nights or the weekends. I have wording for that for you, Tammy.
Okay. I'm not going to take it from you now. I just wrote wording to be
noted.
Included.
Okay.
Yep.
And 229 Front Street is they gave us an application with this wonderful print from, I don't know, 19th century. It used to be a grocery store, and they're trying to recreate that feeling there. So we had no problem with that. So we can take those
3 together.
Mark?
Anthony, knowledge?
You have a question about that?
Yeah, just one comment. Just on 85 Broadway, just for future reference,
85 Broad.
Broad, pardon me. That some of the negative history you've had with WeWorks in the neighborhood with various areas, that the concern of that this could somewhat be an end around to get a liquor license on using a front business within the building. So just FYI for the future. Nothing to add. But.
Thank you for your input. Okay, let's hold the question on all the financials. All in favor? Any opposed to one or anyone? You opposed to 85 Broad? Any abstentions?
Recusal.
A refusal?
229 front.
Fine, thank you.
Wait,
I'm sorry.
which
229 front.
And Mark is abstain 85?
From 85 Broad. Okay, Battery Park C.
That's correct.
Right. Okay, no. All right, now, we've got a couple of, it takes some time here. Battery, 88 Battery Place.
Front Street,
If you were here in
229
the
front.
public session, you heard a number of people talking in opposition to this. By the way, Vegas was co-chair for this, Susan was off globetrotting. And thank you, Megan, for, on this resolution particularly. It's long. Let me sum up what's going on. It's supposedly a sushi, there's a sushi place that wanted hours. They were going to close at 11 p.m. We were kind of surprised last month when they showed up and there was such opposition. The problems we have with this and why it's such a long resolution, it's not a 500-foot case. There are only 2 licenses within the 500-foot area. And the other problem, if you listen to the neighbors before, the father, okay, the applicant is the son. The person who owns it's a condo space within this large condo, is a convicted felon, as is his wife. I've seen the legal documents. Now, the problem we have, the SLA won't give a license to a convicted felon, but you have to show that that convicted felon is part of this application, which we don't have the capabilities, I don't have the capabilities to figure out. There are LLCs here and there. Michael, we could enlist you perhaps to figure all this out.
Listen, his parents.
They're his parents.
Yeah. At the very least, they're giving them a good rent. I mean, we don't know what's going on. So because it's not a 500-foot case, we don't get a 500-foot hearing. The way the information comes in to us, we may not even know when it comes up at the full board unless we're looking every day because they add things at the last minute. So I wanted this resolution to be as full as possible with everything and then to lay it in the SLA's lap. Towards the end of the meeting, I referred to you as an architect in the resolution, should have been engineer, I apologize. This woman who testified before found all sorts of issues with the plans. Lost my track here. Basically, we have to give it up to the SLA. We want this. I don't know if anybody has read it yet.
All right, I'll entertain some questions. Mary Ann, you have your hands up first, and Susan.
I just wanted to add that the purpose of the residents even telling us that the proprietors were both convicted felons was that it was the husband with whom they've been doing all the business.
Yes.
Although
And we have that in
son's
here.
name is on the official document.
Exactly.
He hasn't done any of the work.
Yep. Susan, and then
Is there a way to put in the resolution a suggestion that the SLA, I don't know, I'm really asking the question, that something has come, I understand the resolution, but that we oppose it and that we suggest that the SLA look deeper into the license.
And we have it in the second page. There were 3 whereases. We talk about the parents' involvement. We talk about the fact that only the parents have dealt with the condo board. Okay? And the son has no experience in this area.
I always like that, because I think it's all.
Yeah, no, we've covered all the concerns. Right.
We asked the SLA to look closely at the ownership structure, et cetera.
Right.
That's all.
Justine.
And just let me enter what I was going to say before, and I lost track. What we tried to do, one of the biggest problems outside of quality of life that the residents had is what the architects who were lost their self-certification, perhaps their license, were doing and damaging the building. So we asked that a stipulation be given that all further plans be given to this engineer or the condo board, and that it would be your responsibility then to go to DOB if you have problems with that beforehand, and to keep track somehow. The applicant's attorney refused to accept that, which I thought he might. So that puts us into, this is basically a negative resolution, although it says we oppose unless these things are accepted.
Justine, and then Tammy, and then we need to hold question.
Sure, no, I guess, maybe echoing what you're saying, isn't there a way to say we oppose because of all these things? You're
No.
weighing in.
You have, because the license has a name on it. It does not have those people. We put in here, we're not convinced that the sun is not being used as a
Well,
storm.
that's right, that, and then I like whereas one, the.
You cannot deny this based on what the application is.
But not having.
Justine, when this goes out to the SLA, we can include a letter
Right.
saying this,
I would
emphasizing
ask
that
that,
the
I guess, would
stipulation
be
has
my
not been
request.
met, and therefore we are in opposition.
And we're not, and also the fact of not having the certificate of occupancy for a restaurant and all the questions that they've raised up in terms of.
That's all in here.
It is all in here, but
Yeah.
making it really clear that
Yeah.
our position
And
is we
a
don't
lot
want
of
this
places
here.
come to us without having their CMO first.
Hang on for a second. Yeah. All right, Tammy, and I'll come back to you, and that's it.
So the only, I don't see it in here, and I may have missed it because it's pretty long,
Yeah.
is they didn't satisfy the rules about posting notice for any of the meetings
At
accurately,
the first meeting, they did not.
and at the second meeting, they did not.
No, they did.
They did.
They
did.
only posted on the building where the restaurant is. There were no posts anywhere else on anything outside of where 88 is.
And that satisfies that.
Yeah.
No, they're supposed to post within,
More than that, they posted
within
on
however
both.
many blocks it is. It says it on the application. They
All
didn't
right.
do that.
Nobody brought that up in the meeting, so we can add that.
It's the same. They did not.
I'm sorry, you have,
At the second meeting?
only members, sorry.
I think she's right, like, we did bring that up at the meeting, in addition to the fact that they also included a petition in the same package
right.
where they had that one
Right.
picture of their notice, and the petition appeared to be signed by the same person over and over and over again. Same penmanship.
Well, then we should add that into the resolution.
Just to-
It is in here, isn't it?
Just to clarify,
The questionnaire that we got, there were 3 photos. I don't know if I could place where they were.
We need to move
No,
this
I'm telling
along.
you that,
Okay, yeah,
petition
no, we
be-
can add that.
okay, thank you.
Real quick, just some wordsmithing here to
Yeah,
make it a little
yeah, yeah.
stronger. In the last half part, be resolved, it should read, we ask the SLA to investigate, not look closely at, to investigate
Yes.
the ownership, financing, because financing is part of the investigation, financing and corporate structure to ensure the parents who are convicted felons are not
Good, yes.
Yeah, and then in the very last sentence, in the further be resolved, where it says, submit in a timely fashion, accomplish law, that self-certification of a certificate of occupancy not be allowed.
I think we don't want the self-certification for all the plans. So it's not
We never approved
not
anything.
specifically.
We didn't have a C of O before. We did have a C of O, we never approved.
I don't believe they have.
No, they
No.
didn't.
No.
That's not a big deal. The other,
Yeah, no, the first part, that's great. That's
okay, you want me to read it?
Investigate.
again?
Yeah,
Okay.
can you write,
All right, take it offline.
yep, Mark,
because
give it to me.
We're running out of time, folks.
Let's call the question. Call the-
So I'm going to call a question when they do it. All in favor of this resolution, it will be amended to bring in all these concerns, but it does say we oppose it unless they satisfy all those conditions. Okay? All in favor?
I'm a yes.
Any opposed? Abstain or refusal? Thank you. Jeff?
All right, last is 89 South Street. Hello. In the Seaport. This was a confusing part, mostly because of me. I was thinking that this was on the second floor and it is on the first floor. Susan and I took a tour when the Seaport wanted these garage glass doors to be installed on the east side of the, whatever we call it, the platform there. And we understood, we had a problem that by doing this, you'd be closing off the public space. We were told that maybe if they use that space, they put some tables out. People could order drinks from here or there, but it'd still be open to the public for people to sit there. That's
The outside public space, not the inside, right?
Well, apparently, we'll get to that. We approved this because this is licensing committee, and there's no way the SLA is going to turn this down. However, this is now the community board, not the licensing committee.
So, you know, we were all very on landmarks, in fact the whole board was very, very closely involved. All these view corridors, all these walkways for Pier 17. And one of the fundamental reasons why we approved what we approved was all the walkways, not just around the outside, but through, were supposed to be open to the public. Shop told us this month after month after month. And here's an example where not only do we now have doors there in the winter to make it nicer, and Jeff and I walked down there on a very wintry day, we couldn't even get in there. But now, open walkways in this beautiful public space is now a private bar. And I don't know how it became that, but I really do think that we've got to step back. People like Paul and I and others who, you Anthony and others who were very closely involved in all these approvals, to just question what was clearly the intent for these to be open walkways are now private spaces with bars and all the rest of it. So I do think we keep seeing more and more of the detail not following the principles that we approved all those years ago.
Good input. Would you change this in any way? I mean, you bring out the resolution, brings out a lot of these points.
That it is private space.
It is private space. There are areas like the roof and the perimeter that are what's called designated public access areas that are required to be open, but not those interior corridors, which is private.
Okay.
But that certainly wasn't the intent when we were making all the approvals.
Okay.
But it is.
Good point. All right. Other comments on this resolution? Otherwise, I'll call the question.
Well, may I just, this is going to get passed by the SLA, whatever we do. I don't have an objection if we want to turn this down here on that basis and let the SLA say you're crazy.
I think it might send them a message that we're tired of them disregarding their promises to the community. You should have heard what was said at that meeting last night. Believe me, everyone was saying that. They distrust them and they think that their word is worth nothing.
Well, I defer to the chair and the committee. Do you want to modify this?
How do I propose this?
Where's our parliamentarian?
You have to vote down this resolution and then vote a new one, but it therefore be resolved. That denies it.
All in favor of this resolution?
Being voted down.
So we're
Being
going to
voted down.
no.
Everybody says.
So just vote and then have everyone vote no and then.
Yeah. If you don't want this resolution.
Okay, so let's withhold this question. All in favor, as it is, we vote yes. If you want to turn this down, excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, you oppose it.
So confused.
Oppose it if you want to make a new one.
Oppose it if you want to have a new one. So, all in favor? All opposed? Any refusals or abstentions?
Tom Burton is.
Tom Burton, you're refusing, abstention?
Patrick Cannell and then Paul Hovitz is abstaining?
Yeah.
Is abstaining.
Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Now you bring up a new resolution where it's different, therefore be resolved.
Yeah, everything else can stay the same.
Right, but you need a
You
second
have
vote.
wording?
Well,
You're looking at a piece of paper.
Stevie One opposes the granting of the license to Indian South Street for the reasons stated above.
What are the reasons stated above?
Everything that we outlined in the resolution. Because it's not an approve unless it's a denial, right?
How about we just say in light of continued failure to comply comply with promises made to this community.
Disregard, yes.
We feel that,
We reject the application.
yes,
We reject the taking of public space for private profit.
That's fine, you can say whatever you
I
want,
like that.
just as long as you don't say, opposes unless, it's
Right.
opposed because of, what they said.
That should go to EDC, not to the SLA.
Well,
And that's where it should go, and there should be a resolution
No,
out of
this-
a different
this is-
end.
No, it's a
This is
liquor
for the
license, we
SLA.
voted one down, we have to vote another. So, based on the comment that Paul made with the enhancements for Mark and Roger, all in favor of a pure opposition to this liquor license? Any opposed? 3 opposed?
No.
Any abstentions or refusal? All right, thank
There's only
you.
2 opposed?
Let's move on.
Three, I think there's 3 opposed.
Patrick,
Patrick, Colin, Paul.
And Paul Hovitz?
Paul Hovitz.
Opposed?
Accused on the South Street one?
fine.
And Reggie recused.
Reggie's a refusal. Thank you. Okay, folks, we are about to lose quorum. So we either suspend or, if I can have your attention. Well, I don't know. I don't know how to priorities. We have a housing resolution. We have a zoning text amendment. Your resolution is on the victim fund, but I think we had that report earlier. Huh?
Hannah came.
We have to vote on the mental health. We don't have to discuss it. We don't read it, we'll just vote on it.
All right.
But I wanted to...
No,
We need to... Just...
And Battery Park City has
You
to
just
go.
need to make it broader, because it's not, it just says victims. You
Anything
need
time
to
sensitive?
mirror the words of the Zagorda.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I used their fact sheet to build this.
This came from Natalie's office.
It's not enough.
It's what we're running with.
All right, hold
You can
on.
vote yes
So
or
what,
no.
let's get a
Okay.
committee chair up.
I
and
have,
let's go. Let's get a committee chair up and go.
all right, Pat, please come up and we're just going to do this one resolution.
I have mine.
We have everybody else
I
down
have a
here.
resolution.
No, you don't.
You're
You're
going to take
basically
2
all
seconds
you're doing
to
the
do it.
responders. All you're doing is the responders. Victims is
No.
nobody.
Come on,
There's no
all right.
definition
No,
of
we
victim.
have,
No,
we have, read
move it.
all-
No,
Pat,
I read the whole thing.
Pat, please move forward.
And the workers. They're not. Not in your, not, and they're not.
Okay, let's call the question.
Yes. Did everyone read it?
No.
No.
Residents really, because I wrote it in. Residents, students,
Responders, volunteers, and victims are the people you're asking for.
No, I have first responders, residents, volunteers, students, and
That's in
area
the front part. I'm asking you to put that language in the where, in the therefore be it resolved part. That's all I'm
Agreed.
saying. Don't just leave it as victims. You want to put in residents. You
Oh,
wanna put
okay,
in
so this is
like
the same
volunteers,
wording.
tourists, workers.
I got
It's in there.
it. Take the
That's
same
all I'm
wording.
asking for.
Okay, I
All right,
got it.
it's in there. All in favor?
Not in the bottom.
Any opposed?
In there, yes, I have.
Who opposed?
Thank you.
So we're just gonna take the same
All right,
wording, victims,
Tammy.
students, and put down there also.
Okay.
Let's just have one more vote. Tammy, one more vote?
That's it.
A vote.
Yep. All right, I have 2 photos. Diana.
No, I want a vote. I don't want photos. Tammy, we're doing only your resolution.
This is a pedal assist throttle bike e-bikes as it relates specifically to the parks in Battery Park City, which are state-run parks. They are not governed by city rules, they are governed by state rules through the Battery Park City Authority. And the basic resolution opposes all e-bikes unless it's handicap required, ADA required, in the parks operated in Battery Park City and the Esplanade.
so we have a different position in Battery Park City.
Yes, we do.
All right,
It matches with HRP.
See, it ain't like, yeah, it's not the
any questions?
That's not on the right
All
path.
the questions.
All right,
We are not addressing the bike path, it's just the parks within Battery Park City.
all right. Any other questions? Otherwise, I will call the question. All in favor of this resolution? Any opposed? Thank you, Tammy. 2 quick resolutions. The last one we'll do a roll call.
All right, first one is going to be the mechanical voids text amendment. This is an important effort to fill a gap or to fill a loophole in the current zoning resolution. Currently, zoning allows for the developer of a building to insert a what
height of the building. This is one symptom of the super tall problem that we're seeing throughout the city. This zoning text amendment is limited in its application to C9 and C10 districts, though we're told by the Department of City Planning that they're going to expand the study and we'll see another similar text amendment or some other plan that will address much of our area later this year. The zoning text, the text amendment would do three things. First, for any mechanical floors over 25 feet, that would count toward the FAR. Second, this deals with a clustering problem where you have several mechanical floors within 75 feet of each other. If those, when combined, exceed the new maximum, that will also count toward the floor area ratio. The third thing I forgot about, but it's all in the resolution. The other part was that Councilmember Kalos came to support it. There was a sense of the committee that this is a great and honorable goal, but it doesn't go far enough. And there are a couple of things that need to be done. First of all, PCP needs to finish the study really quickly, immediately, and get us the recommendations for dealing with other non-C9, C10 districts. I'm sorry, R9, R10 districts. And importantly, that open air voids, open air mechanical voids, were not counted in the context amendment. We thought that it should be. With that,
let's hold a question on this. All in favor? Any opposed? You opposed. Okay, Eric opposed that. Any refusals or abstentions? Refusal? Thank you. Wonder what?
Who recused?
Last resolution will be a roll call. I'm not even going to summarize this thing. Hopefully everyone's read it. Tom Goodkind did a great job presenting it and putting it together. I see a couple of questions. Two questions to start with Mark and then Susan.
You want me to go first?
Yes, go, Mark.
I have an addition to this that's not included in here. It has to do with the landlord's abuse of capital improvements. So I'd like to add a whereas saying stop landlord abuse of capital improvements to where landlords can increase rent suddenly and by substantial amounts. And as a number 5, request that revise the formula that DHCR uses to calculate capital improvement rent increases so rent stabilized tenant rents increases are reasonable, affordable, and gradually phased in over time.
Is that something that would be addressed within state legislation?
I don't know if you addressed it, but isn't this a review of that legislation?
This is really meant to go to our state legislators to get them to prompt them to act on rent stabilization laws at the state legislative level. Not saying your suggestions are unworthy. I'm sure you can take that out on another.
Wouldn't fit into this goes to DHCR.
This is going to go to our state legislature.
But if it's under DHCR, I don't know.
It's no longer DHCR, but I think it will, but it will go to the legislature.
I want to add to what Mark said.
All right, let me interrupt just for a second. We have to finish this off and get out of here. I'm going to have you here. Hang on a second. I have to apologize, but when we hold the report for next month, perfect. And the same thing with Francis. I know we talked a little bit about all of us, but we're going to hold you a report off for next month, all right?
Roll call.
All right, so Susan.
I'm not sure, Mark, and it may be a different issue and we take it up differently and it may be better than sticking it in.
Okay, so when we do that, I have to add to
Can we call the, can we call,
But wait, before we do, on point 4, all right, provide better support for our seniors by removing the income limit. That's like, it doesn't mean anything. By making the limit of up to 100,000 if you want, but you gotta put a number in there. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. They're not gonna not put a limit. 50 is low, let's go to 100.
I think the draft would agree with you, but I don't know what that number is. Is there a way to hold that?
I do.
Yeah, what number you get there?
I don't know that it's 100, but I do know that it can go up, and there is a whole.
I know 125.
Hang on, here's the 4.
25,000, I think, was the AMI.
You
We were looking at one point in time. I don't know if that is.
Well, I would put, or you could say 130% of AMI.
Right.
Whatever that is.
Sorry, it was
How's that?
125,000,
Okay?
right?
Okay.
All right?
So do we have that wording?
With that,
With 130, the income
Yeah.
would be at 130% of
Okay.
AMI for, for health.
All right. So with that modification, we have to do roll call. Elizabeth?
Okay. Amoruso. Yes. Burton. Burton. Yes. Blank. Boyd. Here. Byram. Byram?
11.
Okay. Chapman. Percudian. Percudian. Chu.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Kucha.
Yes.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Ehrlich.
Yes.
Erman. Bruce? Left? Okay. Frederickson's not here. Friedman?
Yes.
Froman? Goldstein? Goodkind? Gupta? Jesse?
Yes.
Hovis?
Yes.
James? Joyce? Canal?
Yes.
Kettering? Kettering? I saw him. Kettering? Okay. Capel?
Joel.
Joel.
Hey, Joel.
Joel. He's not in
Joel? Okay.
there. He says yes.
Koppelman? Lemaire? Lerner? Lewinson? Yes. Mahoney? Yes. Markel?
No.
McHugh? Yes. Meltzer?
Yes.
Myhawk? Moore? Notaro?
Yes.
Romero? Schneck? Starr? Sung? Tedesco? Thomas?
Yes.
Townley? Oh, Sung, yes?
Yes, yes.
Townley?
Not
Weinstock? Chi? Zelter?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you all,
Thank
and
you.
we are adjourned.
She's gonna count.
And the 10 minutes from my time.
Nick,
Diana said no.
I'm gonna say,
we have a
give the
pool,
correct.
so what time we
30,
finish?
but they started 10 minutes
Lucy.
late. We should have been, I had 8:45, so I would have.
Lucy.
Sorry for pushing it.
Turn off the recorders.